Oh, I see me. Huh?
Hey,
What's going on, Supreme Leader?
hold on a second. We're live right now, FYI. Let me
Cool.
hold
I
on, let me get
probably
my
won't be
volume figured out here.
cool. I probably won't be on for too long because it's late as freaking crap. But I'll drop in for a few for sure.
No, yeah, it's good. I just set this up and I sent the message out to about 8 people, I guess. And kind of expect, don't really expect anyone to drop in this time of night, but good to see you.
Yeah, you got lucky. I was on the messenger and I caught your thing. I'm like, okay. Uh,
Yeah, most of the I tried to hit a few people who I knew were on.
yeah, I'm a green dot because I'm addicted to this crap, but I hate it at the same time.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's I know. We all are. That's the state. That's the state of the world right now.
yeah,
Actually,
no.
I just got. I probably shouldn't even be saying this on here, but I just got my SIM card and minutes for my. I bought a de-Googled phone.
Nice. Hell yeah, dude.
So
That's
hopefully
what
I'll be living a little bit more anonymously.
I don't blame you, dude. Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
I don't know where it went now.
So we're live on YouTube. Is that where we're at?
Yeah,
Wow, we're a really boring show right now. I'm just kidding.
we are a boring show. I started the stream because it always takes people a few minutes to funnel in. I started the stream and I normally do this. I normally just start it and then leave it kind of on hold for a few minutes. But boy, you shut up quick. I'm glad I even looked over because I was on a different tab. I was on my phone, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe people will come in. Maybe they won't. I've been hit. I've been getting hit with some weird algorithm shit lately. Um, Especially with the I don't know if you saw the video I did about a week ago about cryptocurrency and how the Federal Reserve loves it.
Oh yeah, I need to watch
That
that, man.
one,
I'm
that
behind.
one got. I mean, it has to have gotten suppressed because every other video. I mean, it's still under 100 views.
Wow.
I don't think it was title. It had such a boring title that it just got that little attention. That one was suppressed, but
Oh yeah. I definitely need to check it out sometime. I don't know why I haven't, but I need to for sure.
I mean, you do how you like. If it's not an interesting topic to you, it's not. And I know that I jump all over places on topics, which
That's what
which
extroverts
isn't. It's
do.
not optimal for growing a channel. You know, people want some consistency or some predictability, and I guess I bounced around like three main things.
That's fine. That's your channel, man. You
Yeah.
extroverts go from topic to topic to topic to topic. That's just normal for y'all's personality types to do
Well,
that.
yeah, I think so. Probably.
That would make sense to me, And then the introvert's more likely to respond to the topic at hand. Um,
I feel like FE DOMs keep it on a topic more. Like think about Megan Lavota's channel, or
yeah,
for
that
instance,
would make sense actually.
yeah.
She does stay on topic. I have my theories to why she stays on topic, but
Well, she's running more of a actual like a business or professional structured thing than I am for sure. Like
oh yeah,
um I have no intention of running this like a business. I don't I don't have the return on investment is atrocious for YouTube's.
oh yeah, totally, man. I mean, I want to do some cool stuff on YouTube, but I just don't really have good algorithms, and nobody watches me anymore. So I'm like, oh
Just start doing it. Here's the way I look at it. I figure that right now everybody's got YouTube as like a meet. They can everybody can watch it on YouTube.
yeah,
There's never in history been an easier way to broadcast yourself to an audience ever.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I don't think it'll stay that way. I think the internet is going to get increasingly restricted and controlled. And I mean, I'm going to be pushed out sooner than later. I know for sure. I thought I'd be kicked off sooner than I have been. I didn't think I'd make it to 1,000 subs, and I'm pretty damn close now. But so I figure I might as well take the chance to broadcast my thoughts in this sliver of time in human history where I can.
Might as well take advantage of it, man. It's all about freedom, dude, for sure. Yeah.
So.
But yeah.
Boy, we are boring.
Yeah.
No?
I'm some theories would call you and me both control type SPs because of our interfacing style or interaction style, which means we're kind of boring.
I don't know much about the control, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I know C.S. Joseph uses it a lot, but he's not the originator of it, is he?
No, it comes from Linda Barron's and John Beebe's function models.
Okay.
All control means is you just focus on outcomes and you like to take your time on certain things. Maybe not everything you do because you're SE hero, but you probably like a good outcome if you're really working on something. And I'm the same way. I don't like to rush stuff because if I'm rushed, it looks like shit. If I take my time, it actually comes out nice, you know.
Yeah, I mean the outcome is the reason you even. Yeah, that makes sense, and I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the process is the outcome.
Yeah,
I think people forget to take into account.
That's true, and they call you direct, initiating, and control, which sounds about like you. You're very direct, initiating, and very much on, on whatever point you want to be on that day. And, they call me informative, responding, control, which means even though I'm an introvert, because I'm so fucking informative, I will talk your damn ear off once you get me on a topic I actually know about. I don't shut up.
If it's a person you like, if it's a person the ISFP likes, they won't shut the fuck up about some things.
True.
INTJs are the same way. If you ever like get an INTJ going on something that they're into, like, I don't know, fucking computer hard drives or some shit.
Oh yeah.
They just won't shut the fuck up. You can talk back to them and they won't even hear you talking.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's weird. My INTJ boss, she's either super quiet or super outgoing, but yeah, she loves data and numbers and all that shit. Totally an INTJ for sure. She's even tested as that, but she's got the vibe, man. So it's like, yeah, I think what you're saying makes sense. See, it's funny. People thought I was an extrovert because I could get so damn talkative sometimes, and like that doesn't mean extroversion. But I also wonder why the fuck can I ramble so damn much?
What's it like? How performing on stage, like when you play guitar, because how does that interact with your introversion?
I don't know, other than the fact that I probably need to move around on stage a little more and maybe interface with the audience better because I'm really just focused on the music and maybe putting on a good show, but also just trying to play everything. I don't know. It's weird. The experience for me is wanting to be precise, wanting to give a good performance, not suck at it, and make sure that everything goes as planned.
Let me rephrase it. Do you think that music is an easier thing to do? Does your introversion make it harder, or does it not really affect it since you aren't you aren't interfacing with the people, you're interfacing more with the music, right?
Yeah, you're focused more on playing the songs and just putting on the show. I'm not really focused on. I mean, I try to make eye contact because that's what makes people come back to see you. But like, I did a solo show where it was me playing my instrumental stuff, and yeah, I talked a little bit to the audience, but my band manager, his honest criticism was I need to talk more to the audience because he's like, you were great, you played good, but you just didn't say a whole lot, because the truth be told is like, I don't know what to say other than the name of this song is blah, 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 because, I don't have a frontman personality. Not that I couldn't learn to have one. So how does it affect the introversion? I don't know, because I get to hide behind the guitar. It's easier than singing. Granted, I will admit I could do karaoke at a bar, but the reason is because everybody at karaoke sucks. They're all drunk, so there's no pressure to be good because more than half of the people are worse than I am. So there's no pressure. But
Dude,
like
if
if
you
I
ever
was,
see me singing karaoke, you better get the fuck out because I'm shit faced.
but if I'm like singing, if I were to sing in front of a real audience at a real show, that'd be terrifying. I'm just not comfortable enough with my voice to really do that. It's different when you're singing in front of a bunch of people who are drunk off their ass who can't even hear your fucking tune. You're like, well, I don't have to impress anybody. I can suck because they all suck too.
You should write down, just pre-script out some things to say to the audience before show.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And I've even told the vocalist in my other band, Benevolence, I'm in two bands, and then three if you count my solo project. I told my singer, Connie, she's an ISTP, and I'm like, I told her, it's like, you really need to write down your dialogue so you know what to say to the audience when you're performing because you're super shy naturally. And I told her, you really need to like write down what you're going to talk about. Otherwise, just, she's shy. She don't want to say much. And, you know,
And it doesn't have to be good even because like crowds love the most basic shit. And you know
yeah,
what it is, right? It's like something about getting fucked up.
yeah,
It's something about sex. It's something about the city you're in.
just get to the point, basically, is what it is. You know, that's what they got to do. I don't know. Rehearse dialogue in general is the best thing. I mean, I do that for real conversations most of the time anyway. So I don't know. I don't know how it affects the introversion playing guitar because you can hide behind your instrument. I know if I actually really put a lot of my energy into the performance instead of just playing, like one show, I played two bands back to back because we were both on the same thing. And I was really trying to get into it. And afterwards, I just felt fried. It took a lot of energy out of me because I played a double set. I was headbanging, I was moving around the stage, and I was really, really interfacing with the audience with both bands. And then afterwards, I just felt really fucking dead.
Did you get? But was it better? Did the audience respond better?
Probably they like when you connect with them. It's just I don't want to do too many double gigs where both of my bands are playing back to back. That's just freaking awful. I don't.
I've figured out when I was a banker that if I had to make a speech, I was better freestyling it than preparing for it, which is totally contrary to anything that you learn, right? Everything you're taught is to prepare and practice and read in the mirror and all that shit. And it's complete opposite for me. I had to play to my strengths, which is winging shit, right? That's the ESTP strength. So
I was about to say that's SE Hero, man. Y'all are good at just doing it on the spot. That's what SE Dom does. That's the cool thing about extroverts is y'all can do it all on the spot. That's a strength for sure. I'm not saying an introvert couldn't, but it would like come out slow or paced or.
Well, I guess where I was going with that thought is your strengths are different. Your strengths would be more. I mean, FI and SE. Your strength would be more in with the music, right? So I got to think that in some weird way, if you are focusing on the crowd, you're focusing on the wrong thing to be at your best performance because your best. When you get in the zone, you're going to be focused on your own music.
Yeah.
If you're in the zone, then they're in the zone. So I don't know. That's just.
I think that makes sense because like usually I just focus on the music, because like you're wondering how the introversion and the performing go hand in hand, but actually the guitar has always been my security blanket. I hide behind the guitar so I don't have to be socially active.
I had a roommate in the dorms. Speaking of hiding behind the guitar, my roommate when I was a freshman in college in the dorms, he was a guitar player, and I didn't have a laptop. He's the only one. He's the one who had a laptop, and he said he didn't mind. I'm sorry, I started telling you the wrong story about him. Anyways, he did have a laptop. He was also a guitar player. He and he wouldn't lock the door to our room. So there was a lot of times when I'd come in and I'd walk in and he'd do this shit. He'd grab his guitar and swing it up over his lap like a dick shield when he's really sitting here at porno on the computer jerking off with the door on.
That's messed up. That's funny.
It happened several times. I told him, I said, cameraman, lock the door. Hang something on the door. Send me a text, give me a signal, do anything. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to, like, I'm a guy too.
Yeah, you know? Seriously, we get it, man.
Just do something, dick shield up. Because he'd swing it up and go, hey, what's up? Like nothing's happening.
Yeah. I know, it's funny.
This cigar sucks.
Do what?
This cigar blows.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find, the cigars that I like are like $10 a pop, and I'm trying to find maybe something that's not $10 a pop, but that I like, and I don't like any of them.
Oh yeah. I'm glad my type is recognizable because I got confused about it for years, man. I finally just said, fuck it, I really am ISFP.
It was hard for me to type Katie, ISFP. Of course, I didn't know any back then. And ISFPs are described poorly in most type descriptions, I think.
Yeah.
And the gap between, an MBTI ISFP is described like such like a little perfect Disney princess with cartoon birds flittering around her head and just being nice and sensitive and shit.
No,
and it misses. It's just soft base. It's just a caricature that's inaccurate.
Yeah, see, ISFPs are hardcore motherfuckers, actually.
Yeah.
We're sensitive but very tough at the same time.
And you're slow to engage in something, right? So most people don't know that about y'all because most people haven't gotten you engaged in that sort of way. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely slow to engage on anything.
But conflict, conflict or like loyalty. I think ISFP is the most ride or die type.
Definitely. Once you're a friend of mine, as long as you don't fuck me over, you're a friend for life. Just don't fuck me over, and usually
I think that even that I'm suspicious of. I think ISFPs can probably get fucked over a few times before they make the decision to bounce.
I guess it depends on how strong their boundaries are. If they have weak boundaries, they might get hurt several times and burnt several times for sure.
I think it's less of a boundary thing and more of a slow. It's the slowness. It's the slowness to action.
Oh yeah,
and I think that works the same way. It's a slowness to cut the person off. Like I gotta find my fucking drink.
Oh, I know. That makes a lot of sense for sure. That definitely sounds about right.
So you want to see the books I got?
Sure, man. He changed topics.
I started this thing like 2 weeks ago where I've been buying books, physical books, because we don't read books anymore. Everything's online. But like I said, I think the internet's going to get strangled more. And look, choose a book, next book you want to buy. Look for it online. Try to find a place that you can order it online besides Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
You can't. It's fucking crazy. There's no place. Amazon owns books now, which is frightening. Once I realized that, I decided I need to get some hard copy books because, in a not too distant dystopian future, it's easily conceivable that Amazon will just start removing books. And, the internet, Google or whoever will start popping off links. And if Amazon's not selling books and Google Fiber or whoever your internet service provider is isn't listing things, there's a whole bunch of information that could be lost for a while. And so I started just kind of buying books, and they're super cheap now.
Oh yeah.
But I got, let's see, Nikola Tesla, The Inventions, Researches, Search, and Writings. So this, I think, is beyond me. Like, this is some technical shit. You know, it's got drawings and stuff in it. I bought it off a recommendation. Said that this is a really good in-depth book that's got a lot of Tesla's beliefs and thoughts and discoveries. I don't even know, but this might be beyond me. But figured I should get it and figure out how to make maybe make free energy for y'all fuckers. So that one probably won't get read though, honestly. Got the Emerald Tablet of Hermes, which is some esoteric as above, so below. Does that mean anything to you?
I've heard that phrase before, as above, so below.
It's like ancient spirituality. Behold a Pale Horse by Bill Cooper.
Nice.
You know who that is?
I've heard I know what a pale horse is. It's very apocalyptic kind of thing.
It is, yeah. It's a Revelations reference. You gotta look up Bill Cooper. He did a lot of speeches and presentations before he died. This is the original red pill motherfucker. He was a U.S. Naval Intelligence briefing officer. Retired by the time he started doing speaking in books and shit, but he started like kind of going public about like conspiracy theories and some of that shit that was going on in the government.
Good, somebody's got to do it.
Well, this was in like that book was written in 1991.
Wow.
And he goes into depth and he explains like the occult belief system that a lot of the elites have and stuff. Really got in depth with it. And he did one I think he had a radio program he did it on, but he did like an audio broadcast series describing going in depth into their belief systems and the occult belief system that the elites follow. And right after he did that broadcast, he got killed. He got shot to death in his front yard.
Damn.
Right.
I'm not surprised though. That shit's real, man. I mean, look up Bohemian Grove, dude. I mean, that's fucking real.
Yeah, it was that sort of shit exactly.
That's why I don't trust any of our politicians, really, because they're all involved in that shit. I mean, dude, it's mock occultic, satanic stuff, and yeah, I'm saying this out loud on public YouTube because
you should, because it is real, and it's not even that well hidden. We're so fucking stupid. We've been so brainwashed into it's astonishing. Like, people, like, somebody could tell you that they're Satan worshipers, a politician or whatever, and people wouldn't believe it. If Hillary Clinton got on TV and said, we're all Satan worshipers and we're bringing in the New World Order, people wouldn't believe him.
Believe her. Like, I believe you, fucking Hillary, and your cremation of care bullshit.
Well, think about how many times did George H.W. Bush talk about the New World Order on live TV in front of the world?
Well, I don't know how much, but I know he's done it a lot.
Yeah, a lot of times, and so is his son. I mean, all of them. They all do it's like Duper's Delight or something, where all the presidents and these politicians, they make these comments publicly, and then nobody notices, except a few of us YouTube people.
I know
the internet crew.
I know, man. It's just what it is we're SPs, and I think SPs are naturally just skeptical about all the rules and the bullshit, because it's like an SI type thing to follow regulations and to do what the government tells you. But SPs are like, no, fuck you. I want my freedom. I don't trust your ass.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's a type thing. I think it's deeper than that. I think we have actually we've been intentionally trained to not believe. I mean, the phrase conspiracy theory was made up by the CIA to discredit truth coming out, right? Like the fact that America, really the world, has this completely bass-ackwards attitude where if it's not on the mainstream media, which everybody knows the mainstream media is fake, but somehow it's still people don't treat things as real until the mainstream media addresses it as real. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't think it's a type thing even. I mean, it might be a type thing as to why we're less likely to believe the bullshit. But it's no accident, let me say that. It's no accident that we as a collective act the way we act towards information.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely just don't buy into the shit. Yeah. I'm quiet about it because of the whole FI Dom thing, but yeah, I don't buy into a lot of the shit.
My last the last video I uploaded was about NASA moon landings, and I need to make a follow-up. I want to kind of wrap that up, but my point was, I think that NASA, I'm not going to go so far as to say that I think the moon landings are fake, but I think that there's some seriously suspicious shit that needs to be questioned about NASA and all the space missions.
If Alex Jones is correct, the NASA is another form of the government, and they're supposedly really pulling a lot of the strings if he's actually correct. Because I have heard that on the Joe Rogan podcast. He was saying that. And, apparently there's a lot of weird shit that they're hiding from us. Like, he was saying Buzz Aldrin saw like an actual fucking alien or something. I don't know how true that is, but that's what he was saying. And he was saying there's footage of Buzz Aldrin actually admitting to extraterrestrial life. There's a lot of weird shit that they don't want us to fucking know. Of course, Joe Rogan would be who's they. They would probably be like NASA or some kind of government agency, But a lot of what Alex Jones says, man, even though people don't like him, a lot of it turns out to be true if you do your research, and that's what makes it fucking scary.
Yeah, NASA. I mean, just the whole thing is so weird. I mean, I'm looking at the NASA budget right now, and like it's been about $20 million a year for the last 35 years.
I'm not surprised. If you listen to the Queensryche song Empire,
I have not.
Ironically, the singer, like you, is an ESTP. The whole message of that song was, we spend so much more money on space exploration than law enforcement and actually trying to take care of our people. Like 6% of our budget, according to that song, at the time it was written, which was 1991 or 90, he was saying at that time period, 6% of our budget was going towards law enforcement, and the other big chunk was going towards space exploration. They're more focused on that than actually taking care of the people.
It hasn't been 6%. The highest percentage of the total federal budget that NASA hit was 4.41% in 1966. So that was during the moon.
Oh, okay.
So that's, I don't know if he was stating it wrong, you're remembering it wrong, or however.
I'm probably remembering it wrong because my memory's shit. But he was basically saying the amount of money we spend on that is still greater than law enforcement.
Yeah, but I mean, what he's not. Maybe he is taking into account the thing about law enforcement is not designed to help people at all and solve problems. The government does not want to solve any problems at all.
No, they want to create more and then put you under
Exactly.
their power.
That's how they get more power. And
you should look up that song, the lyrics, anyways, because I don't remember what he's saying. It's in the middle of the song where he doesn't sing and he's talking. Look up the lyrics to Empire from Queensryche. In the middle section, he starts quoting all these statistics and shit about the government. Because I don't remember it very well.
all right, let me find it real quick. Gonna have to find a different site. I hate it when they give like some real basic ass lyrics.
Yeah, because the deep lyrics, in the middle of the song, he goes into a quote where he starts talking and he's not singing and he's giving you all these fucking statistics.
I like shit like that.
Yeah. And the singer himself is ESTP as well. Go figure. ESTP calling out all the bullshit.
I don't know that I've ever listened to any Queensryche.
Oh, they're great. They're old school as fuck, but I'm old school as fuck. But no, that song Empire hits it, man. I love the lyrics in that song. Like everything in that song just makes so much fucking sense, dude, because he's just talking about how fucked up everything is. And this was 30 years ago, and it's still relevant today.
Song statistics. Here we go. Oh no, motherfucker! It's not statistics in the songs.
It's the lyrics to Empire, and the song came out in 1990 or something.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's. I'm not finding it.
Where? Let me see this other device. Let me see if my other device will work. I have to connect it to the Wi-Fi real fast. Is it connected? Oh, cool. It's connected. Let's see if I can find my Google.
The song argues for more police spending, though, which is something that I don't like either.
Yeah.
I think that NASA it's a black budget funnel, right? Because I don't know what NASA does. No, does anybody know what NASA's been doing since the last time I went to the moon, like a long ass time ago?
I have no clue.
Right, and they're still getting like $200 million or $25 million a year, whatever. That's a lot of money for whatever they're not doing.
Damn, this phone's a piece of shit.
I think it's a sort of a shell department in a lot of ways. That's just my personal sort of theory. I don't have any real reason to. I don't have any facts for you.
Yeah, it's all good. Damn it, my other phone won't. It's just running so slow.
Yeah. Random name. That is correct. And we do every fucking time. I don't know. I'm constantly astonished at how we keep falling shit collectively.
Oh, I know.
Or do we sometimes I sort of wonder if more people are not buying it, if more people can see through the bullshit that we know.
I would hope so.
Because of how shit's portrayed, like on the media, right? What happens is the media is the propaganda arm of the government, right? So if they want to make it look like maybe some people are liking a terrible proposition, they just have the news start acting like people are. Like,
yeah.
Oh, the population is really angry about their low taxes and high freedoms, and they're demanding changes to their low taxes and high freedom. Like, nobody complains about a lot of this shit that I've ever heard.
No.
Articles will say people are complaining about. So I think that they manufacture false support for their shit. And I also think that people who do see through things, like and things like that, there's always going to be like a handful of the shallow end of the gene pool that fall for every fucking thing they see. But you also have to take into account that people who do see through shit are normally also smart enough to not draw drama on themselves by like doing shit that I do. I just happen to not mind conflict really at all.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about the bad angling. My phone's got low battery, so I've got it on the portable charger.
What's up, eucalyptus koala? What is eucalyptus? Do you know what eucalyptus is?
I have no clue. I've heard that word lots of times, though.
Koalas eat bamboo.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
If you say it over and over again, it will convince people that it's true. I mean, it's what they study. There was studies on prisoner. I'm going to say this wrong, but they've done studies on POWs, and repetition is actually shockingly useful. It's like the most useful brain technique.
Wow. Not surprised.
I was surprised actually at how effective it is. I don't know. It just seems like, and it didn't matter. It also didn't matter so much if the person knew it was wrong, right? Like however absurd the thing was, if you repeat at somebody that water is crunchy enough times, they'll start to internalize the message. And then if you have them say it back, that's even worse. So what a lot of the prison guards would do is, to get your food, the POWs would have to do something like say something like, I apologize for, the atrocities that I've committed. They didn't have to believe it, but eventually they started like really internalizing that shit on a subconscious level. It's really kind of interesting, the brainwashing techniques that were used, and how repetition is such an incredible part of it. So I guess koalas do eat eucalyptus. I thought they only ate bamboo, but I don't know. Yes, that is true. It can be used for good.
Oh yeah, of course. It just depends on what you're internalizing. You can internalize that you're a good person. You can internalize that you're a bad person. You can internalize, whatever it is, and you'll start to really believe it and stuff.
And I do believe in even though I don't utilize it, but the power of like verbal self-affirmations, like actually saying out loud 5 times a day, whatever it is that you're working on. Like,
I am Batman. I am Batman. I am Batman.
I wouldn't want to be Batman. That suit looks uncomfortable. He doesn't kill anybody.
No.
No, not the superhero I'd choose. But for whatever reason, saying something out loud,
it makes it more
manifests real into reality more than not.
What's weird is, even though I'm an introvert, I've developed a habit of, as I've gotten older, to talking to myself out loud by myself, which is weird. Why the fuck do I do that? I thought we were supposed to be sitting quietly in our rooms all the time, which when I was younger, I was much fucking quieter for sure. I'm 35, and I find that I conversate with myself more than other fucking people.
I do not. But I have found that I have, since I've turned into my 30s, in the last couple of years, I have talked. I would never say anything to myself, or if there wasn't somebody around ever at all. But I have since, recently, a few times done so intentionally, like a mantra. Like I've done a few of those. I don't do them. I should, but I've done things like that. I've talked to some of the plants in the bucket farm.
There you go.
Not much, but like if I fuck one up, like My bad. I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to transplant you into a bigger pot. I didn't mean to rip you in half. So I hope we're cool.
I've talked to inanimate objects before, yes, like my guitars. I think what it is my mind is so active that it's turning into outer dialogue, even though I'm still an introvert. It's just I got so much going on in my head that it's just overflowing into my dialogue, into my self. But I'm not talking to nobody but me. You know, I don't do this in front of people. That'd be weird.
I don't dial. My thoughts are not normally verbal. They're not normally words.
You're a TI user. I'm a TE user, even though it's inferior. I still use TE as a thinking function, even though it's like number 4, but it's still there, you know.
Let me address this comment. Eucalyptus Koala says, Taylor, don't you think that the people you consider sheeple also have a legit way of operating, that they aren't doing anything wrong by an objective standard? Yes and no. When so the sheeple I was just referring to, a lot of times when I say things like that or talk about people, the world or society or groups of people in a derogatory way, you know, I'm painting in broad strokes. It's sort of tongue in cheek. I do not really think that everybody's idiots, and you know, this and that. I do think that there are a disappointing amount of idiots. I think that there are legitimate thought processes. I do think that there are legitimate reasons for people to not agree with me or see things the same way as I do. Absolutely. And if somebody disagrees with me that or sees things differently to me or draws a different conclusion, that for sure does not. I don't believe that those people are idiots most of the time. When I do start to actually think less of somebody or of their perspective is when there's a willful component to their ignorance. Like if they refuse to believe something or refuse to care about something, even that, you know, they know they should. If there's some will of intention or some component of intentionality into why they're believing what they're believing, when people choose what they want to be true over what is true and decide to pretend like the truth isn't the truth and their little make-believe bullshit is the truth instead because they like that better. That is some shit I really have a problem with, and I find that incredibly illegitimate, and definitely deserving to be looked down upon. So I guess it's not going to be, people watching me on YouTube or wherever are not going to be able to readily notice this about me. But when I do get into shit like the flat, or not the flat earth, the space thing in the last video that I made that I referenced earlier, what really kicked that whole thing off was not the fact that these people were obviously in support of NASA more than I was. The thing that kicked it off for me was when I saw them do an exchange where both of them started the conversation on Twitter by going, "I'm not a conspiracy theorist," and then the other person went, "I'm glad you're not a conspiracy theorist." So what happened here is we had a scientific discussion, but both parties entered into it by agreeing to both play by groupthink and agree with the most dominant perspective on this. So they're agreeing right up front to not engage scientifically with science. They're agreeing to engage socially with science. And so that willful part of intellectual dishonesty, that's the sort of thing that I don't think deserves respect and that I mock. And I do believe the bad things I say about people in those cases, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Man, my phone's being fucking weird, so I might leave before too long because I'm trying to do this and it's trying to charge on the charging port and it's not.
Turn your camera off. Your camera eats a lot of battery.
Oh, okay. Because it's like it's losing the battle. It's like says I got 3%, but it's on the charger. It's
Mm.
fucking weird. These Note 10s suck. I thought it was a great phone when I got it.
I've got a Note 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you got to dip, then dip out whenever. But turn off the battery and turn off the Bluetooth. Those two things, or the camera and the Bluetooth.
Oh, Bluetooth. Yeah, let me turn that off. I might come back. I just gotta let it get up to I gotta let it sit for a minute, and it can get back to it.
Yeah. However, jump in if I'm one on whenever you want.
Yeah, I was going to say you'll probably be sitting there for a minute.
I don't know. I mean, I don't ever intend on these live streams going long, but
I've seen you do
right when I'm about to wrap things up. Normally, then the comments start picking up, and I end up I'll probably be on for a minute, honestly.
I've seen you do this for like 3 or 4 hours before. I'll be like half awake, and it says, "Oh, Taylor's live."
It's fucking crazy.
And I'll see your video posted, and it'll be like 3 fucking hours. Shit, what's he talking about?
And 3 hours is the time. At 3 hours, like almost exactly, my brain just goes "fuck you," and like I just can't. I'm just like, okay, bye.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
But all right, it was good talking to you. I'll see you in a bit if I see you in a bit.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna let my phone charge for a minute. It's just it needs it.
All right.
Yeah, if you don't see me, I blacked out because it's fucking. I've been up since like 10.
Hey, I'm gonna keep on this conversation, but I'll see you later. Okay. The way, okay. So this eucalyptus, I want. What do you mean? Go into that more because I'm interested to hear your perspective on this. The way that people deal with the bug for me, or receive the bug, showed me. So for me, it showed me the same thing, and I don't. I mean, again, I guess it's a similar sort of split. There are people who disagree with me, who I respect their disagreement, and I respect the thought process, and that they came to a different conclusion, and that's fine. I don't think that everybody has to agree with me at all or see things the same way. Actually, I prefer that they don't. A homogenous world is a terrifying thought. But I want people to approach things with mental integrity, not emotional cowardice or intellectual laziness. And I think that a lot of people responded to the bug with cowardice, way over logic, and that created more problems, way more problems than it fixed. Yeah. What type are you? I do think that is a TETI difference. I have noticed that too. Most of my family growing up was, I would say that both my siblings and my dad for sure, and it's hard to type people closest to you sometimes. My dad is for sure a TE dom. My mom is a TI user. My 2 siblings are probably both TE users. I grew up with a lot more TE users in my family across the board, I think, that I did TI. And yeah, they would rather trust authority more. Now, I don't know that I have trouble respecting that choice because it seems either lazy or cowardly. And by that, I mean, I think that they're either too lazy to think for themselves, obviously, or they're too scared of being responsible for the outcomes of their own decisions. But if you follow an authority, it's hard to be at blame, really, as much as if you veered off on your own because you did what you thought was right and you're wrong. I'll admit that I could be wrong in that assessment. It could be my TI preference. showing some bias, but really, I don't. What other reason is there besides cowardice or laziness for somebody to attempt to outsource their thoughts and decisions? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, no matter whether you do something fucked up because you chose to or because somebody told you to and you chose to, you still chose to. People, you can't defer responsibility for your actions. You are responsible for the things you do. So if you're a cop and you do what cops do and break the law and abuse the fuck out of somebody because your commanding officer told you to, or you do it because you're a cop and you think it's fun, it doesn't matter. Either way you did the action. You are responsible for it. It's the whole I'm just doing my job thing does not cut it at all for me, and it shouldn't for anybody at any time ever. You can never defer responsibility for your actions to a boss, a cop, whatever. You're responsible for them. So I don't see there being a valid situation in which you would defer your belief formation, I guess is how I look at it. If I can see this and think about it for myself, why would I accept somebody else's observation, interpretation of it instead of mine? That's how I see that dynamic. And I don't know. I think I'm right. But I also recognize that it's very possible that I'm showing bias that would make sense too. How people reacted to the virus. Oops. We don't say that word on YouTube. It's not. It's a terrible curse. I hope that we all survive the newest made up variant. And how people reacted just showed that everyone will believe what they believe and will search for information for the points. Right. That's exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I should continue giving this disclaimer more. I should do it a lot, but when I think in socionics and I speak in MBTI, so I meant IEI, but I learned to describe the NIFE type with a 4-letter name, and I just don't care to unlearn it. And it's more than just a habit. More people using IEI as a communication inhibitor in the West. It is what it is. So, but yeah, you're correct though. Forget about MBTI. Socionics is a much better system, much better definitions, information. So yeah, when I say MBTI types or names or whatever, it's just know that I'm referring to the socionics. How long ago did you make that comment? I think that was back before I closed my rant a little bit. What do you mean by that? Like, give me an example or a situation. Expand that question a little bit more so I answer accurately. So I answer the right question. I guess it's just how they deal. They want experts to take care of stuff. And I guess they don't really choose that, just like I didn't choose to think for myself. I always do so and always will. And I agree. And I see the things the same way. And I will always think for myself. And we're both TI users. So is that the result of us being TI users? Because to me, it just looks like I feel like it's just me accepting responsibility for being a thinking being interacting in the world. That's how I see it. I don't know how else to see it. I'm open to the fact that it could be my TI bias. But I don't know where that is. If somebody could explain a situation in which that is not the case, I'm certainly open to being wrong about that. No, SE is not about giving other people a good experience. That's some CS Joseph bullshit. Yeah. I would say actually the opposite. Like I don't know that I notice people's experience particularly strongly. I notice the response I get from them out of things, but that's very much more a self-centered thing than I'm not concerned about other people's experience nearly enough to focus on it. I've never heard that come out of anybody's mouth or system except for CS Joseph's. That's some complete CS Joseph bullshit. You can forget about that. And the golden pair shit, CS bullshit as well. Throw that straight out. Anything CS Joseph has ever said about socionics, including their stupid, cheesy ass quadra titles, get rid of all that. It's because people are either cowards or they're lazy. Those are the only two conclusions I can come from. Or they're like just evil, right? Like there are malicious, evil motherfuckers who just operate out of malice. That is definitely, a lot of the peaceful protesters we saw and continue to see in like Seattle. Seattle's just a fucking sinkhole now. Whoever ends up buying all this real estate in New York and Seattle while they're war zones is going to make out like a bandit. And I bet it's the same motherfuckers who paid for people to riot there. It's crazy the places that they're rioting. They're always rioting downtown, in like the most expensive sort of established business districts, and weird how all this expensive commercial real estate in major cities across the country is all of a sudden not desirable. What's an excuse for him to talk about sex honestly? And when does he talk about anything honestly, much less sex? The dude doesn't know about sex, and you can feel it on him, right? Like you can feel I don't know how to explain it, but you can just tell if you're somebody who's had sex and is familiar with, like, who's had successful interaction with the opposite sex. You can sort of feel when somebody hasn't, but they're pretending they have. And that's him. I love shaking things up to getting things going. Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't watch his socionics videos because I started like two of them. I started the Gamma. I watched most of the Gamma one because I got a lot of requests to watch that one. A lot of them. So I watched Gamma. I started Alpha when it came out, sort of my own accord, but I had to turn it off real quick because every other statement, it'd be like, what the fuck is he talking about? That's absolutely wrong. All right, I got to make a response video about that. And then by the time I was finished with that thought, he'd do another absurd thing. I'd be like, oh my God, I got to make a response video about that. And at some point, like, it was just brain overload. I was just like, you know what? I just got to shove off from this whole thing. I could spend the rest of my life making videos about everything CS Joseph has wrong and trying to correct it. And it's never going to happen. So I just fucked off all of his socionics videos. I couldn't even watch them. They're too aggravating. Can I describe SE? Can you provide a little more context to the question? What it's like? Yeah, I mean, give me a starting point at least, or something. Why do you ask? What do you want to know? How do I experience it? Well, I think that everybody experiences their dominant function as such an the spine. It's the spine of your worldview, so you don't notice it, you don't experience it until something like typology makes you step back. I can take off this banner. Okay. Until something like typology makes you step back and look at yourself and go, "Oh, what the fuck is this shit? I've been breathing my whole life," and it's one of those. So I don't experience it personally. I experience it sort of indirectly, I suppose, because I'm aware now that other people's reality isn't exactly like mine, and that's sort of a shocker. So I guess the too deep of a way to answer your question without answering it satisfyingly is that I don't experience being an SE Dom. I experience realizing that other people see things strangely. I'll give you a better, less sort of enigmatic answer than that in just a second. Yeah, he's the fucking worst. Okay, you're an INFP. That helps. So in socionics, we're conflictor types. And if you're not familiar with that, it means that we are the two types the least likely to get along well based off our function stacks. And I'm gonna guess that the way you experience SE is as SE is forceful, right? Especially in socionics. But SE is a forceful function. It's direct. It's impactful. And in socionics, if you're a socionics person, it literally is force. So you probably experience it as anger or meanness when it's not. Its intensity, its directness, it is forceful. It's a lot of energy, but it doesn't have any FI malice in it. SC is completely, really, I don't experience any emotional charge to it. It's emotionally agnostic. So if you find yourself in a situation with an ESTP and you're like, oh my God, this person is such a fucking asshole. Probably part of that equation, like you're probably not wrong entirely, but probably part of what's going on with that equation is the SEFI exchange is getting crossed and tangled. So your polar function SE is my dominant and vice versa. So what I'm doing, you're interpreting through your dominant function because you don't understand mine, and you think that intensity or the force is angry or mean when it's not. It's devoid of any of that. And I assume, and I know that I fucked this up sometimes because I've fucked it up a lot of times, is I assume that everybody else is like me and I can be assertive and people will be able to just know automatically that my force is not malicious. And that's absolutely wrong. I learned that real quick in jail. When you go to jail, you have to recognize that everybody in there is in a constantly stressed state of mind, and they're much more fragile to things. So I had to really tone down I had to soften my interpersonal skills a lot in jail because if I just act like my normal self, like it's interpreted as aggression a lot more. That is a good point. Yeah. But it's hard to pick up through the computer, through video so much as in person. Like Eric Strauss from Talking with Famous People. When we met in person, the SE difference was so tangible to me. For me, it was. And I know, there's plenty of people who think that he's an ESTP. I get it. I understand why people think that, and I'm just going to tell you it's wrong. He's not. And I can see why you would think that. But in person, if you were in a room with the two of us, it would not feel the same at all. You would notice a much bigger difference in person than you get through the screen. It's in the vibes, it's in the posture, it's in a lot more than the words that you hear in a video. I don't think so. 8s are heavily represented by ESTPs, but most ESTPs I do not think are 8s. I think most have an 8 fix or a 9 fix. I don't think there are any ESTPs with a type 1 fix that I've met, but I think from what I've heard, 7 is the most common ESTP type. 7s, 3s, 8s, and 9s, and 6s. I think 7 is the most common I've heard. I don't know that I believe that. I think probably 6 is the most common type, because 6 and 9 are the most common types just across the board. So I think that from that reality, you're going to have more of them just by mass of the pool to choose from. And 8, to that point, is really a relatively uncommon type, even though there are a lot more people who think there are 8s than are actually 8s. Type 8 is sort of like INFJ in that regard. There's a bazillion people who think they're INFJs and are not. Most people who think they're type 8s are not. So no, they are heavily represented though. Which I think is not inaccurate. The problem with SE descriptions is that there's the socionics one, which is force, and there's like the traditional Jungian one, which is basically real time, unvarnished sense input information. And I personally believe that they're both right. I think that SE does have both components, really. SE is force. SE is sense input, real time right now, right? It is what's going on around us. It is what's happening in the real world right now that we can see, taste, smell, whatever, right now. That is accurate in the traditional Jungian sense of the description. But it's also accurate in the sense that it's force in a socionic sort of way. And it makes sense why they work together, because if you live in the world that's here and now intangible, your responses are here and now intangible, right? That's your behavior would interact with the information source on the same medium, and so they would both be right. So it's hard for me to kind of answer SE questions if I don't know exactly where the person's coming from, because the two systems do split them both to a decent degree. That's one of the bigger differences in socionics, is the description of the function SE. I think it's the most different of all the functions between the two systems is SE. And So that makes answering these SE questions a little bit uncomfortable because I don't have any idea where the audience is coming from because everybody's coming from a different place. But I think that both systems are right in their SE description and approach. And I think that neither system is right in its entirety of the SE description, if that makes sense. Not consciously. I mean, it's not an articulated. We don't walk around going, we want to dominate this and control that and get everything under control. It just sort of naturally manifests that way. So no, not consciously, but yes, in sort of an automatic instinctual way. It's like an instinct, not a desire. How's that? Who does? Oh, okay, Eric. Right. Yeah, I think he comes across as an LIE too. Oh, as an LIE, Eric? No. Yo, cool name. That's my name. Yeah. There's all sorts of types that mistype as 8 because 8s are described. I mean, any type can be aggressive. All the types can be aggressive except for 9s, basically. But 1s mistype as 8s. 4s do sometimes because, I mean, they're on the opposite end of the intensity spectrum. Let me rephrase that. They are equally intense in an opposite direction. 8s are sadists, 4s are masochists. But both have an intensity. So there are a lot of 4s, not 5s. 5s don't mistype as 8s. 6s do. It's counterphobic 6s for sure. Some 7s do. Yeah. 2s can be aggressive. Supervisor relationship. So my girlfriend is my supervisor type. She's an ISFP. I'm an ISTP. I'm sorry, I'm an ESTP. And when I say these 4-letter acronyms, I'm talking about the socionics type, of course. Just want to remind people that if anyone wasn't here earlier when I did the big spiel. So my dominant function, SE, is her second function. She understands my dominant function. Her dominant function is my polar function, FI. I do not understand her dominant function, not a little bit. So we have an imbalance in perspectives in that regard, that she understands me better than I understand her. That's kind of the quick and nasty explanation of, you know, what constitutes difference. Now, why and how it plays out there, you can go a lot more into depth about that. Well, in a nutshell, the how and why it plays out is her type, the supervisor, since she understands my dominant function, and she uses it as a tool function. So she's using SE in service of her FI. And she thinks that that's the way that SE is properly used, right? And so she would think that, and she doesn't. We got a great relationship. We've worked through these weird issues, but in the supervisor relationship, and I'm just using this dynamic as an example, an ISFP would think that an ESTP, who's got all the SE, should be using their SE for their FI. And since the ESTP is not using the SE in service of their SI, then they're doing it wrong. And they just need to correct that so that their SE can help their FI. They need to do things like go out and walk around in nature, or, you know, basically go walk around in nature, or ISFPs love that shit. And that's the proper use of SE because it's in service of your FI. And we won't ever do it because we don't like FI. What the fuck is that even? And we're never going to do it. We're never going to use our SE in service of our FI. We're never going to acknowledge our FI. Or if FI happens to us, we certainly don't understand it and don't know about it and have no control of it. We're not attending to FI with the SE. The SE is an end in and of itself. So we'll never, the supervisee will never perform to the expectations of the supervisor in that regard. At least that's how it's formally explained in socionics. In my experience, and I've heard it reflected from a lot of other people too, supervisor relationships actually frequently work out better than that. Like, that sounds pretty dire, but I mean, once we understood each other, once she understood that I don't do FI, like, easier. Oh, like, and actually typology really helped that. Like, once you can understand it, like, it's not that this person is a psychopath who hates me. It's that he's operating on a different frequency and he kind of likes me. Okay. Then it changes things around. So I think that if if the supervisor and supervisee understand each other and the dynamic there, I've heard a lot of friendships or partnerships, however, the supervisor-supervisee relationship works out in real life better than the formal socionics, the literature would have you believe. I agree. Speaking of eights with a stoic feel, have you guys ever listened to Mike Tyson? Because I did last night. Like, I knew he had a podcast. I'd heard a few people recommend him, and I never did, but until last night, it's like, goddamn. Mike Tyson is, I don't know. I've been very happy so far with like the two things I've listened to of his. Kind of blown away, and I hope that it stays good for me, because yeah, the dude's fucking smart and he's insightful and he's humble as shit. It's really been great listening to him. I'm very excited about finding this Mike Tyson is doing shit like this. I think it'll be great for me, because he is absolutely an 8, and a lot of the things that he's struggled with, I mean, obviously way different context, but the mindset and the internal shit, I relate a lot to that when he's talking about his internal shit. It's totally relatable. I don't think he's an ESTP. I think he's an ESFP, but I do think he's a type 8. He's absolutely a type 8. Where the fuck are my cigarettes? Because the cigar was nasty. I'm gonna turn the camera off while I rummage around and look for these things. Damn, I was trying to get behind the ISTP here, but man, you could dissuade me. What do you mean? TWFP. What's the name of the protein that is produced because of the jab spike protein? If I is stupid, that is the only bias I am proud of. So Mike's tight. I'll fuck you till you love me. Is that a Mike Tyson quote? I don't know who. He's also Mike Tyson and Michael Jordan are the two athletes that like they're just fucking amazing. I'm actually not as big of a sports fan, like watching sports. I don't watch nearly as much sports as people assume from my type. And actually I think that's pretty standard. I don't think ESTPs want to watch other people play sports for like a shit ton. We'd rather probably just do something than watch people. Anyways, but Mike Tyson and Mike Jordan, I can watch those two. I can get on if you search my compilations of either like greatest knockouts, greatest dunks or shots. Those two athletes are fucking amazing, and I can watch the shit out of them. But yeah, it's cool when you with Mike Tyson, like I'm very pleasantly surprised that he's like fucking good ass guy too. And he's talking, who would have thunk? All right. I have not seen his DMT video. I did listen to a little clip where he's talking about licking toad. And I don't know if that shit sounds fun. I don't know. I'm 34 years old and I've been to rehab twice. And I've got a drug felony. And I'm at the point in my life where if there's a drug I haven't done, I'm not going to do it. So that basically means I'm not going to do fentanyl. And I've never licked a toad. And I don't have any desire to lick a toad. I would try DMT though. I would do that. I've never done DMT yet, and I would do it. I don't know that I would keep doing it, but I do intend to try it sometime. I just don't know what to get. Like, yeah, I don't know. The thing about DMT is I have every intention of trying DMT at some point in time. I'm not in any rush to do it. And I would much rather, like, maybe there is a DMT scene and I'm not in it. But with every other drug, it seemed like you knew the culture and the people, and like you knew if this was going to be good shit or bad shit. Or you could look at it, and go, you know what? This is Epsom salt. Don't sell me Epsom salt. But with DMT, I know nothing about it. I know some people who have done it, but I don't know people who like do DMT. So I'm kind of, I'd be walking into the dark. So I'd much rather just, I've got plenty of time in life left, I think, to try it. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to pursue it. I'm going to wait until the universe manifests it in my life, and I feel like it's gonna be good shit and not like, I don't know, bath salts or whatever. That makes sense. Do DMT. You got some? I mean, not that I'm pursuing it. I just feel it's just something I feel like I have so much less technical knowledge about it than any other drug I've ever done or been around. Like I don't know shit about it. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it smells like. And to the extent that I am a control freak, which is I'm kind of a controlling person. Like I'm not just walking in the deep end and smoking some shit that don't have some sort of reference point. Like, yeah, I've heard it's short. Does it feel short though? Because I know that like when you're tripping, time does weird stuff. Like, because shrooms boy, when you shroom, it feels like you're doing that shit forever, and then like you start to come down, it's like in like 4 hours. Like, what? This is only 4 hours. Felt like I've been tripping all day. You mean psilocybin? Ayahuasca. I guess I'm sort of treating ayahuasca and DMT as the same thing, even though they're not. I would try ayahuasca too. Wait, is that peyote? I don't know that I do peyote. Ayahuasca. Here's the thing. I do not want to trip for days like peyote makes you do. So I wouldn't do anything that would make me trip for days. I will, but if it barred that, like I'm okay with hallucinogens being something that I'd try new shit with. I'm kind of scared. Like I've taken acid, but only once. And I don't know if it was weak or if I didn't take enough of it, but I didn't really trip very hard. You know, the lights at the strip club got tails and shit. Like I really haven't done a proper acid trip, but I've been around enough of them that it makes me nervous. I don't know if I would do acid. I would consider it, but I got some apprehensions about it because I've been around a lot of bad trips. Good MDMA and a great metal band, period. Well, the thing about MDMA is it's basically all just meth. Your ecstasy and your Molly, 99 times out of 100, it's just crushed up meth in a gel cap or a pressed pill, which is great. Like trust me, I've had a lot of good times on that shit. But I don't know that I've ever had proper MDMA. Maybe I have. I've done ecstasy a bunch of times. I've done Molly a bunch of times. They haven't all felt the same. Certainly, there's been a lot of variance in them, but at the end of the day, I think most of them were mostly meth, probably. You know what else is a yellow powder? Is good Coke. Yeah, and if it still feels weird saying shit like that, but I'm kind of, I'm 34. I'm getting a little older. I've been through some shit. I'm kind of getting to that point in my life where like I'm trying to do the NI thing more. Yeah, so I would definitely start with the shorter version. And I'd definitely start with the shorter version before I do the long version. The thing about doing tripping for self-discovery is I think that you will jinx yourself. If you're like having expectations of self-discovery. I've done shrooms a bunch of times. I love shrooms. They're a blast. I've never had any expectations. And I don't feel like, like you hear about people who have these like profound realizations that changed their life. And then, I tripped acid one time and then I quit my job and went and did it. Like I've never had anything that profound. Maybe it is broadened my perspective or things. Who knows? I did a lot of drugs. I don't know what shrooms has contributed to the perspective I'm at now, but you just want to go into it with a good vibe. You don't want to go into it anxious, I guess. You don't want to trip if you're already nervous or anxious about things, right? You're going to be in a relaxed mood. Relaxed, good mood when you're tripping, right? Do it in a comfortable place with people you're comfortable with. Don't like, all right, well, I met this new chick and we're gonna go on a first date and we're gonna try tripping at the first date. Like, don't do that. You're not gonna be comfortable. You're gonna have a weird trip. But if you're comfortable, it's so much fun. I think that shrooms is the most fun drug. It's not the most euphoric. They are different. Oxycontin is probably the most euphoric, but shrooms is the most fun. Things were always just hilarious for me. Everything was funny as fuck. I could not give a shit less about anything. Everything was funny. Ooh, I'd like to hear about that. If you feel like talking about that, I'm gonna drop a link. No pressure, but if you want to talk about that, jump in. Hanneman Slayer. What is Hanneman Slayer? Hanneman. Look up this. Talk about the band Slayer. Hey, okay, so he was in Slayer. Right on. I got tickets to a Slayer concert and I didn't go. It was in when was it, 2015 or 16? Probably 2015. Me and 15 dudes from 15 of us, we all went to high school together. We all flew to Vegas for a bachelor party over Halloween weekend, and we stayed at the Hard Rock. And when we checked in, we were all checking in. For whatever reason, the manager that night saw me, and he came up and he gave me a couple complimentary tickets. Slayer was playing that night. They were checking in, and he gave me a couple complimentary tickets to the show. But I ended up giving them to a different guy. We ended up going to the Sapphire Lounge, which is the world's biggest, or not the world's, North America's biggest strip club. And I think I made the right decision. That was a fun fucking night too. But y'all don't get to hear about it on here. I don't know. My ego is pretty fucking strong. It would take a lot of psychedelics, I think. Have you done Adderall? I don't know that I think people learn from bad trips. I don't think that people don't learn shit when they're in a state of fear. Well, it depends on. Okay, so ecstasy. I've had ecstasy that was very different from other ecstasy, but assuming that my typical ecstasy experience and your typical ecstasy experience were similar, the meth feels sharper. It's a little sharper, a little crisper. Yeah, if that makes sense. Sharper and crisper. If you've never done meth, the best way to describe that would be Adderall. It's very much like Adderall. but a little bit more. Like people are more exciting on meth. You're less focused in on like, I got to write this paper and dust the ceiling, right? You're less focused on getting shit done and more interested with like people or options or talking about this or thinking about that. You're a little bit more bouncy and excitable, and it's more euphoric. There's that the euphoric component is stronger with meth. So it just, you know, whatever that endorphin rush is, that when yeah, you know what I'm talking about, like the feel good when it hits you, and it's just like, oh my god, that feels good. It's stronger with meth than Adderall, but Adderall is for sure like absolutely the closest. Oh, it's raining outside. As an IEI, I'm trying to do the SE thing. Random name, are you a guy or a girl? That's something that we've interacted enough here that I feel like I need to know this. You're trying to do the SE thing, be more proactive and grounded. Actually act on what the universe has given me. Okay, good. All good. I commend you and encourage you. I'm trying to do more of the NI thing, so high five to us. Dope. You ever listen to Dope? They were one of the best fucking, and probably one of the top 3 concerts I've seen too. Dope, Korn. I fucking love Korn. I'm 34 years old. Follow the Leader was my coming of age album. Like it, I don't know. Korn's just always been the shit. I grew up at the perfect time in the perfect place to just be a Korn enamored motherfucker. They're good. If you see that flag behind me, hell yeah. I saw them. I've seen them live a bunch of times, and their live show is actually what really turned me on to them. They could throw the fuck down. Hello, Winston's mom. Hello, Hambone. What good fight am I fighting? Yes. Well, yeah, probably. Yeah. Because most of the, again, I'm kind of rolling off some assumptions. I'm assuming that, because I know all the ecstasy I've done was not pure MDMA, right? I think it's likely that I think it's probable that all of it had some meth and some MDMA. Meth is a very common base for both of those things. So the euphoria really feels very similar, assuming you've got meth-based rolls, which is what most of them are. So it's pretty similar, but yeah, it's like I said, it's sharper. So again, assuming that we've had the same ecstasy experiences, imagine, instead of taking a pill and feeling the ecstasy pop, you smoke it and you feel it, but better. If that makes sense. I have to speculate a lot about, I don't know what, the MDMA and X there's such vague, it really, what you're taking is whatever powder or they want to pour into a gel cap or press into a solid pill. You don't have any clue. And I've had some weird ecstasy that was not like the others. But there's a lot of The speed is I would say that since we're in the era of it, and we have been since crack kind of went away. Although, you know what? We might be in more of the opiate thing. I don't know. I don't know what the drug of this era is. Probably still more meth. That's what I thought, but I couldn't be positive. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm loyal to the truth. That's for sure. And is it bravery? Like, I'm also more reckless than most people, so I don't know if what I'm doing is bravery if I'm not concerned about things. Yeah. But I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, and I think that having rationale for beliefs having rationale for your beliefs is one of the most fucking important things that nobody does at all. And it's people's values are adopted culturally. And that's dangerous because culture is garbage. Our culture is fucking garbage. But if you have values that are structured, that are built logically, one, they're stronger. Two, you actually believe them instead of like force placing this fake belief over your subconscious, which knows is bullshit. And three, I don't know. So that when you got structured belief, when there's a system, you don't have to think about every decision from scratch. If you've got a value system, then every experience everything you could encounter, you've got an answer for it because you know your values, and you can just reference back to like I don't know, my values prioritize this. Like for me, truth is a big one. Like the truth is the fucking truth, and I value that over people's comfort, for instance. So I never have to, if people have their value structured and know what their priorities are, you never have to encounter a new experience where you're not sure how to handle this. You need to figure it out from scratch. You never have to do that. You know where your values lie. So you just apply it that way. No, because you never stop taking meth. Actually, and so no, not as bad. Yes, you do. It's similar, but I didn't ever think it was as bad as X or Adderall. And when I say that, like when I took Adderall, I absolutely abused the shit out of it. So I wouldn't take like an Adderall, maybe two. I'd take like 3 of them up front, and then I'd take like 2 more in 2 hours. Like I'd take a lot of Adderall. But I always found that with stimulant pills, I felt worse the next day because you have less dose control. With meth, I smoked, sometimes snorted, mostly smoked. You can do it meth anyways. You can put it in gel cap and take it as a pill. You can smoke it. You can snort it. You can shoot it. There are some people who boof it, put it up their butt. I don't know why you would ever do that, but there are people who do it. But I smoked it, and with smoking, you can micromanage your dosing better because the impact when you take a hit, when you smoke something, it passes your blood-brain barrier instantly. So you don't ever like you don't ever take a pill and not realize that you took too much until after the fact. Like, in the second how much you need. And also you can take a little hit. You can only cut a pill down so small. So yeah, I found that at least that's what I assume. I assume that is less bad because I was able to manage the dosing better. That's my theory. But I didn't think that it was nearly as bad. You'd be tired as shit. Meth will leave you drained and tired as shit. But it, like, I'd feel sick after Adderall sometimes. And X was a similar experience sometimes, but not. I didn't really push the envelope with ecstasy as much as I did with Adderall. Yeah, when I did quite a bit of Adderall especially the last year and a half of college. But typically what I do is I have a pattern to be like day 1, day 2. I'd do 3 days on. And at the end of the third day, I'd kind of come down and crash out. I'd crash 1 night, 2 nights. After the second night, so it'd be three nights on, 2 nights off. Sort of that rhythm is what I got into. Cool. Yeah, it's such a cheap. It's so cheap and prevalent. And one of the things that's seductive about it is that it kind of creeps. It's a creeper, right? The first time you do it, shit's fine. And so you end up doing it every day. Doing it every day is not a sustainable way to live. But it starts off fine, right? You can get through you can do meth the first day. You can live life, you can just breeze through your day, have no problems. You can do that for a week. Everybody has a different length of time they can pull that off for. Apparently for me it was like 3 years. But eventually, little by little, you start to slide. But what I was going to say about that is that, yeah, a lot more people are or were than I think. If you've never done it, you don't realize how much people are on it. But once you've kind of lived that lifestyle, you can walk down the street and just looking at people's body language, a lot of the times you can tell who's spun up. But you have to have done it, I think, to really be able to see it. So what? I guess Cammie is not going to join and talk about her experience. You don't have to come out and talk, but you don't also have to ghost the chat or hide. I'm glad you asked. Winston's mom, I'm so glad you asked about the garden, because that reminds me to go get some potatoes to show you. I harvested a couple buckets. Sit tight just a second, and I will go get my taters. Dun, 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 dun. All right, now hold on a second. I'll pan the camera down so you can see these glories. So yeah, I harvested 2 buckets, and I knew that it was early, a little bit early to be done with. Ooh, whatever slid off the back of the table. It was a little bit early, but the plants were looking kind of like raggedy. For whatever reason, the plants weren't growing very well in these buckets. So, and I wanted to sort of see how things were going. So these are the potatoes on screen. And as you can see that they're pretty small and they are potatoes. But so yeah. The interesting thing is, so this is interesting too. This potato, the huge one, came out of the same bucket that had these 2. So when I planted them, I mixed up the things, but or I put different. I didn't put all the same variety in the same buckets, but the yellow potatoes seem to grow way faster than the red potatoes. So I did learn that for when I need to be actually growing food for for when civilization collapses and I need to grow food to actually feed the family instead of just to fuck off. I'll be growing yellow potatoes instead of red ones. I haven't pulled up any russets yet. I planted some of those, but oh shit, what I do? Click the wrong tab. We're good. There we were. The container plants for doomsday. So yes, both. I do actually think that next summer the economy will have and the food supply chain will have collapsed enough that we're gonna actually need to eat some bucket potatoes. But also I have like my doomsdayish outlook is not insincere, but it's not bad. Like I'm kind of enjoying I'm enjoying myself and happy despite the bleak outlook on things. I could pretty much like let me explain it like this. I'm having way more fun being a bucket farmer who's got a small little YouTube channel and just like I'm way happier with my life right now than I was as a successful banker, right? That shit was made a lot more money and was a lot less happy. All right, let me get past here we go. This one's me. Yeah, I don't know about. I've heard that eyes for potatoes are. I've heard they're. People. I don't know if they're actually bad or not, but or if it's a wives' tale. But I always heard that they cause cancer. Talking about those. Yeah. I'm not surprised that you like the cute ones because girls like cute things, but I would not say that those are particularly successful potatoes. Like I hope to not have very many more of the tiny cherry ones. Now that I think about it, the red ones are smaller. There's smaller variety than the yellow ones, but not like this much. That's why I really started growing potatoes in buckets is because I know the ladies dig a good potato farmer. I did it all for the nookie. So I'm not sure. Like it's really too early for me to like harvest potatoes, but I'm kind of thinking about pulling up a bucket. Like cuz this isn't, I mean, I guess this is enough potatoes for like one person, but I'm not going to like tell Katie like cook me potatoes. Nobody else gets, I don't know. I just feel like I you know what? I'll pull up another bucket, even though they're probably gonna be small. And maybe get like enough potatoes to make a meal. Actually, I'll do that. I can do that right now. You guys want to do a bucket of potatoes? Oh, you want to join? If you're asking to come on this stream, you're welcome to join. There's a link, and if you, I don't do the setup like Eric does. I'm happy to join a Wherever room with you, but if you're asking to join the stream, do it through there. Eric does it the most fucked off way. Yeah, no, I agree. It will be slow. Yeah, agree. They're gonna turn it up slowly but surely. I agree. I don't think it will happen fast. In fact, I think it's happening incredibly slowly. But I think that, and I'm saying this based off of last year's crops, really. I think that by next summer, we will have fucked up our existing food supply enough that our current one just can't keep pace. So my time frame on the food thing is a little bit more calculated than anything. And so this year, I mean, the reason I started doing the bucket farming thing at all is because I anticipate food scarcity. And so I figured I better learn how this shit works while I've got time to practice. So that's really what this is all about. Yeah. And I mean, on this note, without getting too serious, but like I think that to an extent, we're right at the cusp. I do think that we're basically on the brink of losing the normalcy bias, right? Like so far, everybody's been able to act like, oh, aside from this dangerous virus, the economy is doing fine and business, like things are normal economically. We've been able to sort of have the public sentiment that things are fine and things are normal, and we can ignore the fact that we've put ourselves in an enormous food crisis by, well, the shutdowns were huge. The weather patterns last 2 years, I mean, globally have been disastrous. The fact that we're like last year, China had the biggest floods in recorded history. So they've bought up a shitload of surplus grain in China. We've sold a shitload of surplus grain. We're also having like scorchers in the West Coast. They're shutting off water. I mean, like, so this year's crops are not good. We don't have reserves because we sold them last year. So you see, there's a lot of globally. We're gonna have a problem next year. Another thing. So, anyways, my point is, if you've never prepped, whatever, buy some food. Have some food on hand. You're gonna want to do that sooner than later. Grocery stores have started buying extra inventory. I don't know, probably a lot of you heard that. That's crazy. Because food is not a good inventory. It doesn't store well. So if grocery stores are buying more inventory, that means that the grocery stores think that they're going to have supply issues sooner than later. So I recommend people do not procrastinate sort of getting some storage food anymore. Well, I don't intend. Look, as much as I like canned peas, I don't like canned peas that much. And I got some shit in like the prepper food stores, like Vienna sausages. I never want to have to eat a Vienna sausage. That shit is fucking disgusting. It's repulsive. So if I have to eat a Vienna sausage, it means that I really need some protein. I'm in a bad state. I hope to throw those fuckers away when it's time. But oh yeah, I'll survive. I think that surviving for me is a competitive advantage, but it won't be off stored food. I intend to. I'll find better food sources than Vienna sausages is what I'm saying. I am middle range on openness. My conscientiousness was middle. But if you dive down into, because you can break each one down further, within conscientiousness specifically, my conscientiousness was very divided because some of them I was all the way to the 10 on, and others I was all the way to the 0. So I don't remember the dynamic there, but one part of consciousness, conscientiousness, I was all about, and the other part I was not fucking about at all. Extroversion, medium high. I was an extrovert, but not by a large margin. Agreeableness, low as fuck. I was like the lowest you could get on agreeableness, which I agree with actually, because the way that the agreeableness component is set up in Big Five, a disagreeable person doesn't have to be like, I'm not agreeable. I won't go along to get along. I'm not out trying to be an asshole, which is probably why you think that I'm higher than I really am, but I'm all the way down on agreeableness. I won't go along to get along, not for a second. And I was also, yes, I was low neuroticism, very low neuroticism. Potato soup. That's not a bad idea. You know what? And Katie makes the fucking most fire potato soup I've ever had in my life. I'm pretty sure the secret is shitloads of cream cheese. Oh, fuck. Sorry, Hambone. I did that shit. Like when you ever type out a text message and then not send it, I did that. There is the link. And I was just wondering, like, wonder if he's gonna like come in or something, or say he's not coming in. And the other thing about the food industry is that it's poison. And I'm not a health nut. Like, I smoke cigarettes daily. Like, I've been a daily smoker since I was 13 or 14. Yeah, I'm not a health panicky guy, but the more I dive down this rabbit hole, the more I realize that the food that we are sold is poison as fuck. And corn is the reason that the sperm counts are going down. The GMO corn is shrinking dicks and lowering sperm counts. So if you've got sons, don't feed them fucking corn syrup products or corn chip products. What's going on, Hambone?
Hey, man.
Thanks for jumping on. I don't think I've ever seen you. Have you? Do you ever get on Eric's stream? I mean, Eric makes so many videos, I can't possibly watch them all. So you've probably been on with Eric, and I haven't noticed. But
he did come to visit about a year ago. I live in Washington State, so he drove to me, and we made a few streams in like early June. They weren't very interesting, so I don't blame you for missing them. But
no, but where did you say you live?
Washington State.
Oh, how's that for you?
It's good.
I've never been there, but I know that Seattle's having a hell of a time. And
Seattle's a shithole.
And a lot of the most egregious, I'd say, agricultural issues west of the Rockies that we're having right now have been from Seattle governments doing things like shutting off all water to some farms and stuff. The local government involvement on the West Coast in agriculture is exacerbating the issues.
Yeah, I mean, I just know our governor's a piece of shit. Like,
Blue state? Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Here in Kansas, we got a blue governor too, and she's a piece of shit. But I can't say that personally it's been bad for me. You know, if they're gonna sink the economy, I might as well get some of the fucking cheese they're sinking it with. But
right. I mean, you're in some kind of construction, if I remember.
Yes.
Concrete. And what do you guys do? Like, what are you working on?
Well, I'm laid off. So
oh shit.
That's why I'm not. That's why I'm happy to have a blue governor right now. And I'm trying like. Anyways, but what I did do was quality control for precast, and I've worked at a couple different places, and so I've done architectural precast, which is like your wall panels of buildings, you know, schools, courthouses, shit like that. And the last place I worked at was like infrastructure precast, like manholes and sewer pipes. So, which is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to build a manhole than it is to build, you know, the aesthetics of the new office building being erected, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's got to look good for all those white collars.
Well, and they do
a lot of level of quality.
They do a lot of embedded objects. So a lot, like any brick is not actually brick construction anymore. It's little thin brick slivers inlaid into concrete. You're looking surprised.
It's not brick. So what's the material?
It's brick material, but like if you walk by a movie theater or something, and it's not a brick building, it's a concrete building. What they do is you make the bed, and you can buy it's just thin little bricks, and you lay them out. They make plastic liner, and you can roll it out, and then you lay the bricks in the liner, and you pour over it. So it's mostly concrete, but it does have a brick face. But the brick patterns, especially on schools are the worst because they've got tax money. The brick patterns will get really intricate. You'll have different types of bricks and different patterns. And if you have one brick fucked up, you have a $30,000 piece of concrete that's a problem. You can't chisel out a brick. I mean, you can, but it better be at a corner or something, because if it's in the middle of the face, you'll be able to tell. It's really sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're making stuff for the storm, if you're making a storm drain, fuck it. As long as it's structurally sound, it can look like whatever you want.
Right. Yeah.
What do you do?
Me right now?
Yeah.
Not much. Not much. I just got finished with quarter at the local community college. I was taking full-time philosophy classes. Yeah. Making a lot of money. Wow.
You probably think I'm gonna make fun of you for that, but
look.
I'm
Here's
not.
Here's the thing. In the United States, it's like what they were telling people for, last century, a bachelor degree is your golden ticket to success, right?
That's what they've been saying.
That's what they've been saying. And now it's not a bachelor's degree, it's a STEM bachelor's degree, right? You got to major in science or some kind of engineering.
Or experience. I don't know the last time you looked for a job was, but if you look at help wanted ads, they all would like some experience.
Of course. How do you get experience though?
In concrete?
That's the problem. That's the problem with entering into the job market.
That is the problem. And college is such a racket. It's such a fucking hustle. I went to college for economics. Do you think I ever used that in concrete? No. I did need to have a bachelor's degree to become the QC manager of the first place I did, the architectural place. You have to have a bachelor's degree in something.
Yeah, right. You gotta have, so like your major, it doesn't matter that much in the long run.
That's correct.
So study whatever the fuck you want. You just gotta believe in your ability to leverage that into your career of choice.
Having there's certain thresholds. Having a 2-year degree will get you into certain things. Having a 4-year degree will get you into certain things. But unless you're doing a STEM thing or engineering or something, most of them are just kind of whatever. As long as you got one, you got one. Or you won't even need one. You know what? I've hired a lot of people. I've never checked their education references.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's pretty common. I've checked
for what position though?
At the bank. I've hired other bank. I was the regional vice president, and when I worked at the bank last, and I was in charge of 3 branches. So mostly teller positions, but there were some higher ones, and I've never checked an educational reference. I would check employment.
And what were they making per hour?
Start off. The highest position for tellers, I don't recall. The lowest that I thought I could get them to agree to. So my answer is going to be more of a reflection of my own personal ability to manipulate the relationship. As much as probably I don't like admitting that it was much more of the capacity of my interpersonal manipulation there, because I was in charge of the budgets. My bonuses and stuff were determined by how well the branches perform. So of course I'm going to want to reduce the teller's pay as much as possible. So I had some pretty low tellers. I also had some pretty high tellers. There are certain people that they just are valuable. They're competent, more competent than other people will ever be. So
was that dependent on their major though?
No, not at all.
Like their prior knowledge.
No. Prior knowledge did help. If somebody came in with at least cash handling experience, that was helpful, because what was surprising to me is how many people are just not competent in counting money. Probably a third of the tellers I'd hire, I would then fire again within a week, because you can just tell they're just people that just aren't going to be able ever to consistently and accurately do money.
Mm-hmm. Did that relate to type at all, as far as you could tell?
I didn't know much about type back then, but in hindsight, yeah. If you get a good SFJ for a teller position, they've got to be attentive to a customer, and it's banking. So people are always anal about their money. Very rarely do people come to the bank for a good reason. It's not like, woohoo, I got extra money in my account today. I had no idea I was going to get this deposit. And now look at that. It's like, why the fuck do I have all these overdraft fees? So you got to be patient. You got to be accurate. And really it takes, I would not be a good teller at all. I would never hire me to be a teller.
So what quadrant in general do you think would be apt for that job?
Delta.
Yeah.
Delta. I think that Delta and Gamma would be for teller position, probably Delta, Gamma in that order.
Because like the common function is TE there, correct? They're like executing the process.
So in my answer, yes, that was a common denominator, but I don't know because I started out, the first thing I said was SFJ. So there's TI. I don't know that
FE, like you got to be able to relate to the customer, and
relating to the customer is important, but it's less important than you'd probably assume, because if you're attending to their keep the context right in the front of your head. This is banking. People want their banking needs attended to accurately more than they want empathy. So to that extent,
but
covered a lot.
Like SFJs are a big portion of the population, and I know people like my grandparents who are both SFJs. They don't like people who are straight to the business.
Yeah, ISFJ more. Okay, let me refine that thought. ESFJs, no. ISFJs, you could get some good ones, but you could also get some bad ones. I suppose it depends on if they're the type that feel more of a sense of duty or if they're social. So when I worked at the bank, actually, this kind of interesting. When I worked at the bank, we used a personality test assessment. It wasn't MBTI. It was called Culture Index, and it's better. It's good. Actually, when I quit banking, I had taken a job with Culture Index, the founder, and spent a week training me, and I was going to take over the Kansas City region as the sales rep. I ended up going to jail, the whole thing, instead, in between quitting the bank and moving back here. But that system scales people according to extroversion, agreeableness, extroversion, attention to detail, or sort of meticulousness in processes, and I'm drawing a blank on the last one. But extroversion was not a good indicator. If a person's highest trait was their extroversion, I would not hire them for a teller position at all.
And is that because they weren't? It's like it all comes down to what they're paying attention to, right?
Right.
It's like if they're paying attention to the processes internal to the bank, then they're a good hire. They're maximizing that process. But if they're paying attention to the customer, then they're somewhat being manipulated by them, et cetera, et cetera.
You want somebody whose attention is on accuracy and who's not ambitious to be a teller. I wouldn't hire. I had too much assertiveness, and that's it's like a combination. It's like SE almost in socionics is the best way to describe it, but it's an assertive, forward-moving, initiative-taking function, and that's my highest one.
Yeah,
I've got the highest in that, and then second in extroversion. I wouldn't hire me because I know that I'd be bored. My profile would be bored, and start finding ways, because if you're a teller, like that's not training for. There's not a lot of progression after that. You can go to head teller.
So theoretically, the most prime type to be a teller would be ISTJ, just like most positions.
Yeah.
Rather than ISFJ even.
Yeah, you're right. ISTJ.
Because I mean, they're so content with being in that place. They know what they're doing. It's all laid out for them. They're not exactly looking to.
So I would say that the best tellers that I had were not ISTJ. ISTJs are going to always make good tellers, and you want ISTJs. But the very best one or two I ever had, they weren't ISTJ.
Yeah, well, I mean, on average.
Yeah,
like ISTJ isn't going to be a standout in any given position, whether it's bank tellers or anything else.
Any sort of systematic position like that, I wouldn't want to hire an ISTJ to be in sales or management. I wouldn't have the job I was doing. I wouldn't hire an ISTJ for.
As a manager.
Well, so I was the regional vice president, so I managed 3 branches, and if you get the right hires, branches can run themselves. So what I did most of my job was I was doing new commercial customer acquisition. So I'd go out, commercial and ag. I'd get to know the business customers and get new ones in. So I had a sales.
We got to evaluate people. ISTJs aren't very good at that.
Right. So I wouldn't want them in the sales role. It was a lot more sales than most banking roles are. I wouldn't want a salesman ISTJ.
Yeah.
And nothing quick. At my last job, our maintenance, the guy in charge of the maintenance department was an ISTJ, and he could fix fucking anything. The dude, when he was in the military, he worked on nuclear submarines, but he would get to it in his own fucking sweet ass time. And there's nothing you could do on Earth to move him faster. On Earth, nothing at all. There's not a person in the company who could say a thing to him that would make him move any faster. Is crazy. Like, he gave 0 fucks about about moving quick. So systems. You want ISTJs in systems.
Yeah.
ISTJs are the perfect system function worker.
They're an interesting type.
They are interesting.
I
wouldn't want to be one, but I enjoy them.
No, I wouldn't want to be one. I get along with them more than anyone else, just because they're so secure in who they are and what they're doing.
I think that you probably I get along with them, but it's not going to be I'm not as comfortable with it. I make them uncomfortable from time to time.
Right.
In a way that you wouldn't.
Well, I am an INTP.
Right.
I guess in socionics I would be their benefactor.
Okay. I don't know off the top of my head, but
yeah.
But I mean, just
think that's right,
from a rudimentary standpoint, you're not likely to rush them.
Right. I mean, I have SC Polar. I'm like, do what you do. You know best. You know.
Yeah. No, it would take some patience for me with this last dude because I had things to do.
Yeah.
I just need him
to be a hustle. He has to be a hustle all the time. Of course.
We never had any issues. Really. I got along with him great, liked the guy. Had no bad experiences with him, but it did take a little bit of self-management on my end a few times. Just because there's no way losing your cool at an ISTJ is not going to make them move faster. At least not this one.
Well, my experience is My experiences with ISTJ, like the third slot FI more than makes up for the polar FE. You know what I mean? Like if they care about the company and they care about results, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks of them.
To them, that's correct. Yeah.
And so
but
you just kind of gotta trust them.
Their measure of success is not right for all positions. We had, when I was at the bank, we had an ISTJ in operations. She's head of the operations department, which is all the backroom processing and shit. That's very meticulous and just soul crushing. I don't know how anybody could work in operations, but she was fantastic at it. But her biggest problem was that she would get herself, her own time, bogged down by handling transactional things perfectly that like she didn't need to be wasting her time on. Be like, you're in charge of the whole department. Why are you doing bottom level stuff?
Right. That kind of perfectionism. It's like the ISTJ tagline is, what is it? I can't remember.
But it's scale. You have trouble scaling ISTPs. Because scale necessitates the broader you go, the thinner the depth, and they go deep.
Something like if they can't do it right, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right. I'm so fucking drunk right now.
Are you?
You can tell. Yeah, I'm so drunk.
Yeah, I don't have a baseline for you, so I didn't know that. But now that you say that, I can, tell. Oh,
I don't know. INTP is like,
I'll get a drink. I'll get a beer. I think I got.
They can. I don't know. They can handle certain drugs very, very well, and other ones not so well. Like for me, I can take alcohol. I'm good with that.
You said ISTJs, didn't you? What are you talking
INTPs.
about? Oh, okay.
INTPs. Weed, however, is not conducive to a clear mental state.
I never.
For myself.
I also never felt like that was an easier one for me to fake it on, for instance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could do hard drugs and for like nobody's business, but too much weed and it'd be like, man, I'm hungry as fuck and shit's sketchy outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel anxious and like I don't want to be here.
It's just not. I don't know. I never enjoyed it that much, and it wasn't for lack of trying. Like I really wanted to like pot because it just was the best outcome for things to like. Really.
Mm-hmm. It's relatively accessible, low risk.
Not very bad for you. Not
addictive.
I used to drink a lot. I hardly drink at all anymore, but it's a lot more fun when you're single and you're in that phase of life where you're out partying.
Mm-hmm. Well, I drink alone most of the time. I visited somebody off of Discord, and that was very fulfilling. And we were drunk most nights, but I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but I think INTPs are able to regulate their drug of choice better than most types.
In my experience, both TI DOMs have the same interface, I guess, with substances, and it is they can manage very well, but when it stops, when they fuck up, they do it dramatically. Like they don't just fuck up a little bit; they fuck all the way up.
Mm-hmm. If I get too drunk, which is not often, I'll just fall asleep.
Oh no!
I'll say shit that's going.
I know a guy from high school who I'm pretty sure was a TI dom. He got a DUI in a pull-in car wash on 4 flat tires. He was asleep in the car wash with 4 flat tires. How the fuck do you even pop 4 tires?
How do you manage that? That's nuts.
He doesn't know. I don't know. That's the thing. It's absurd. Mm-hmm. It's impossible sounding.
Yeah,
I think having low FI, substance abuse is hard on FI and SI, is my theory. So if you're SI ignoring, as I am, you don't have to worry about it. You wouldn't be as SI ignore. Yeah, you like SI, but with alcohol isn't that hard on your SI because you end up sleeping it off compared to other things.
No, I don't really have any interest in like doing the harder drugs.
Alcohol is the hardest. If you want to be technical, alcohol is the worst. It affects all your organs.
As far as statistics go, yeah.
As far as possible outcomes, like you get more aggressive, you get sloppier. Mm-hmm. It's harder on all of your internal organs. And alcohol, if you become actual alcoholics, alcohol withdrawal is alcohol and benzos are the only 2 things that can kill you from withdrawals.
I don't have the what do you say? Like I don't let my emotions take control when I'm drunk.
Yeah.
Which I think would be typical of INTPs.
I agree. And yeah.
And so that one isn't really a problem for me.
Right. And that's a huge factor in how people handle their substances. So yeah.
Right.
You guys have a good position on that.
I do have quite a few alcoholics in my family, both of which I think are ENFP.
Are they like when you say alcoholic? Do you mean like?
Multiple DUIs, been hospitalized.
Yeah. I don't. There's a lot of drinking, and all of us can drink a lot. Like my alcohol tolerance is stupid high, even still that I don't drink hardly at all anymore. But none of us have had those problems. Luckily, knock on wood. I mean, I'm not the only one who's been to rehab, but it's not alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an aunt right now who has a 6-year-old son, and she's not in the place to take care of him right now. And she keeps relapsing. Her family's given up on her, more or less.
Alcohol.
What's that?
You're talking about alcohol?
Right. Yeah. And it's just strange what addiction does. That's the only thing that matters ultimately, is receiving the
it hits your survival instincts. So when you have a craving and you need to fill it, it feels like it's a survival situation. You have the same bio rhythms are activated that this is, like I have to have this or it's going to kill me. That's not the case, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah.
It's really fucked. Because logically, I mean, she should think that raising my son is more important than drinking this
And she
vodka.
does. She knows that logically. She knows it emotionally. Every
Uh-huh.
part of her knows it, but her biology is captured. And in the moment, getting this drink is not being registered as falling way the fuck off the wagon and screwing up parenting my kid. It's treated as like, I need to breathe this air right now, and then we can carry on normally without having problems, which is not the way it is. And keep in mind that for every like one time that an addict like really fucks up and goes off the rails, there's been a zillion times that it's gone just fine.
What I'm wondering about is the psychedelic impact of alcohol. Because for her, she'll be like imagining things that aren't there, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've never experienced that. And I've never seen anybody else who has come close.
I have, but in two different ways. So like when I was in the first time I went to rehab, I went for meth, but I was on benzos from my doctor, the Klonopin, and that was the worst. I've come down off a lot of things. That is by dick and balls the worst withdrawals I've ever had on anything in my life. So much. But I was in the intensive care wing of the rehab center for a little over a week, and the guy, there are 3-man rooms, and the guy in the bed next to me was coming off alcohol, and he was hallucinating for about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
But that's not what you're talking about, is it?
Well, no, because when she's hallucinating, she's not experiencing a withdrawal. She's like in the throes. She's at the max capacity.
So that's trauma. She's got unresolved trauma, and it's getting blurred with the reality she's in.
Okay. Right, because alcohol lowers inhibitions.
Yeah,
And
but when people become delusional like that, it's because something they really experienced is getting crossed or projected into where they're at and who they're dealing with. So it's not a complete hallucination. It's just inaccurate and where it's at.
Right.
In my experience, usually, yeah.
I mean, the problem, though, is that she keeps going back to it when she's been sober for enough time to, get off of alcohol.
How long do you think that is?
At least 2 weeks.
Absolutely not even close to enough time, because the addiction isn't primarily physical for almost any addictions, occasionally for bad alcoholism, but the real addiction is mental and emotional.
And are they using alcohol as a way to escape?
That's a way of looking at it. I think that...
Or do they think that's them?
It is a short-term solution to a longer-term problem. So it can be escape. It may not, a lot of times what it actually is it's a bond. The bonds that are not being formed socially with people in your life get formed with the substance. Mm-hmm. So the substance is your boyfriend or girlfriend. They're always there for you. They're who you talk to after work. They're who you see in the morning. It fills that void in people's lives. So it's actually a social bond with social bond substitute a lot of the times.
She must not have felt connected to the people in her life who she chose to be intimate with, because she's had multiple partners, multiple people who she could share a future with. And
I would suggest most of these things most addiction issues are a result of something that happened earlier than that. By the time you're an adult, getting into adult relationships, your personality and the baggage that is included in it is already formed. Probably, however, she was raised in her childhood, some adult relationships were not handled right. So she learned unhealthy bonding behavior. It sounds sort of, if I'm speculating, it sounds a little bit histrionic. Or bipolar. I'm sorry, not bipolar, borderline. Maybe I'm projecting.
I mean, I'm not like I'm familiar with what qualifies as borderline. I don't know if I've been able to diagnose conclusively someone in my life who is borderline and who displays those symptoms. But
is she neurotic, or does she choose? Like, does she have a consistency in choosing the same type of shitty dude, or is there a sort of a variety of personalities and they never seem to work out?
I've only gotten a close look at 2 of her boyfriends. And they seem to display the same traits in that they already sort of have a past, and they're not really looking towards the future. They're sort of comfortable with getting away with the shitty things they're able to in their current job.
So, for instance, a girl that I knew had a consistent pattern of the dude she got with were always the same sort of fucked up, right?
Yeah.
She would always get with, good-looking girl, always got with the biggest, baddest drug dealer. So there's a consistent thing here, and my interpretation, and I'm speculating a bit here, but what I think that is I know her childhood, she needed a protector, right? She's looking for a protector. And,
yeah.
So that's one thing. The other thing is if you look into borderline or histrionic, I think describes it real good, but that's a different sort of coping mechanism or bonding problem where they just don't know how to bond. It's very much hot and cold. Dramatic, passionate interaction is mistaken for love. So basically, if she's creating issues so that you can have big blood fights and then big ups and downs, big makeups, and if it's like that, if it's ups and downs, that's a different sort of thing.
Right. Well, I don't know that she's creating issues as much as she's neglecting to solve problems. Like, she's very much
addicts love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta piss though. So I'll be back.
Be good. All right.
I'll be back.
I'm K2. What do you mean? And is it in context of that? Because I'm a K2 and I've had addiction problems. Yeah, alcohol is really, I mean, the saving grace is that it doesn't addict everybody the same way that like meth or heroin will. I drank a lot for a lot of years and just got tired of it. It's too much fucking work. Like I said, I've got an alcohol tolerance. I'm not gonna ever accidentally be drunk. If I'm drunk, it's because I wanted to get drunk. It just becomes a lot of fucking work. So, are you saying that the K2 addiction tendency is due to past life issues. I still don't know enough about Vedic astrology to understand why you think what you think about it, or to know if I agree or disagree with it. I do think that Vedic astrology is fucking magic, but whoop whoop, I got those. And I'm in a Ashwini nakshatra, which I think also maybe has something to do with it. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for the applause. I assume you were applauding me and not astrology. And whatever you're saying after chart, I'd be interested to hear you explain that thought process out further too, because you're not the first person who's said that. Like it's apparently pretty observable in my chart. Maybe Ashwini is also speed, though. Maybe that's the connection I was making, is speed with speed. Oh shit, I was gonna grab a potato bucket. I never met one person at rehab for daydreaming. That is interesting. And that corresponds fantastically with the definition of type 8 lust in Enneagram. I'll be right back. I'm going to see if there's a potato bucket that I think is not drenched that I want to pull in here and pull the things out of. Carry on with what you're doing. So it's kind of rainy. It's kind of rainy. I did grab a bucket, set it outside the garage, but I haven't decided if I'm going to do it yet.
Hi.
Welcome back. How was the pee?
Wonderful. Are we leaving?
Did you wipe up the toilet seat after you're done splattering all over it?
Absolutely not.
My dog.
I didn't splatter. Don't worry. Yeah. I was almost about to take over your stream for you.
Oh yeah, I figured that you would do so.
Right. But
were you waiting off screen, or did you?
No, I was listening to it on my phone. There's this very annoying pitter patter in the background. But
Oh, what? Coming through from my end?
I don't know whose. I could see that it was mine.
Yeah, no, I could hear that too. It happened. I don't know where it was coming from, but it happened after you left, and it isn't doing it now.
Anyways, geez, what time is it for you now?
I don't know.
4 in the morning?
I'm unemployed.
Right, so it doesn't much matter.
Yeah, it is. It is 4:20. I better start wrapping it up, or I'm gonna be.
Anyhow.
And if I had everything just flow as naturally as I liked it, my sleep schedule would shift back about 2 hours a night. It would keep getting 2 hours later every night. Does that make sense?
Like you'd want it to be
like instead of waking up, I'd wake up at 8 and go to sleep at midnight. Then the next night I'd wake up at 10 because I slept in longer, and I'd go to bed at 4. Yeah. I'd sleep in later every day, but I'd also offset that by staying up even later. I never want to wake up, and I never want to go to sleep.
Isn't there a point where it just becomes egregious, though?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It would just like my natural rhythm would just I wouldn't ever land on a sleep schedule. It would just kind of keep cycling.
Of course, me too. It's just whatever. Whenever you want to wake up and whenever you want to go to sleep, isn't that everyone's schedule?
You know what? There's, in my experience, most people are. Let me rephrase it. Basically, every chick I've ever been with enough to notice has been more of a morning person than me.
Huh.
And less of a night person.
Well,
maybe, yeah. I don't know. And I'm crabby when I wake up. Crabbier than most. But I wouldn't say that I love, like, I'm not like a sleeping person. You know, there's those people that just can sleep all the time and they love to sleep, and
right.
I'm not that person, because when I'm awake, I don't want to sleep. I might miss something. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not crabby when I get up, but I definitely enjoy the night more.
Oh yeah, I'm an asshole. I've been an asshole since the day I was born. Like when my mom would wake me up from naps, she had this rhythm where when it was time for me to get up from a nap, she would like have to cut up an apple or something. She'd have to have a snack for me. I'd have to like sit around and be pissed off and eat apples until I came around. Yeah,
Dude, that's how my sister is. Like she just doesn't naturally get up before at least like 11 a.m. And she's an ESTP.
Does her energy go in spurts? It's like she'll do a whole bunch of shit for a week and she won't do fuck all for a week.
I mean, like, she gets the shit done that she needs to get done.
Of course.
I don't pay enough attention, I think, to notice like when she's getting more done rather than less done.
Yeah. I bet if you asked her though, she's got swings, imbalances, and
right.
Because we're active as fuck, but God, can we be lazy?
Oh yeah. I mean, she's less. I think she's less consistent than I am.
I'm sure. Yeah, and actually, in the personality type system that I was talking about, that I was trained in, that was one of the explicit things about my type is just don't like. I'm not ever going to do consistent output levels. So, if you recognize that you're hiring somebody who's going to have periods of huge accomplishment and periods of nothing, that's just how it is.
Right. I mean, I think she's less constrained by other people's expectations.
What'd she do?
Right now.
Yeah.
Well, she's a high school student. ISFP high school student. So
we're fun high school students.
Right. She wants to go out with friends and not fulfill academic assignments.
She probably thinks academic assignments are bullshit, and she's not wrong.
Right. Yeah, no. I tell her all the time. I'm like, you're not wrong, but still you got to play the game.
Okay, that's exactly right. And that's what I tell my daughter too. Like with watching, we used to like to watch Dexter. I'm sorry, not Dexter. I like to watch Dexter. Fucking what's the cartoon with the secret agent? It's an adult cartoon. Oh my god.
Archer.
Archer. Yeah. We like to watch Archer. And the agreement was we can watch Archer and other shows like this as long as I never hear that you said a cuss word in front of your grandma or anybody at school or Debbie, your daycare lady. I don't ever want to hear an adult say Jordan said a bad word. Then we can keep watching adult shows. But if you start cussing, we're gonna turn them off. And I've never had a complaint. Gotta play the game.
Right.
But yeah. We are hard as fuck to control at that age because we know it's stupid. We know that school's bullshit.
And they're so good at pushing boundaries. Like she tests me all the fucking time. And I have it's a hard ask for me to be able to distinguish between what I ought to let her be getting away with as her older brother, and what I should just assert myself and be like, no, that's pushing it too far. You know what I mean?
Give me an example. I know what you mean.
Okay, so I recently turned 21.
Congratulations.
Okay, so, we went to the grocery store and bought a bottle of vodka. Well, I bought it. And she somehow decided that it was hers to use and distribute to her discretion. And so she invited a friend over and was taking shots with him, and then like took the bottle and decided that it was hers to keep in her room. And I'm like, where's the bottle? Because I don't want to be the brother that's buying you alcohol and like it was ours to share, right? Like I decide when we get to partake in that.
That's not gonna work.
Our activity.
That's not gonna work.
No, it's not. So what I ended up having to do is lay the law down and be like, okay, where's the bottle?
Yeah.
Where's the bottle? Where's the bottle? And she told me finally, and she was not happy with it. And so I took it out of her possession. But of course, it didn't cause long-term conflict because you guys are FI polar, and you're like the next day everything's chill, everything's fine.
When you took it from her, did she stop drinking that night, or did she continue drinking? She just had to go through you.
Oh, she was in a different state. Like she was in Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
I was on the phone with her.
You know, though, if she's wanting booze like that she can do whatever she wants with it, and you tell her and you buy her booze, and tell her, look, if you get caught, do not let me get fucked up for helping you, and she will not throw you under the bus.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
There's this implicit TI understanding, but she'll take what she can in other areas. Like she basically made me feel like a square for for requisitioning it. Although, anyways,
it's funny. I just get a kick out of hearing like that sort of shit because we don't feel like we don't recognize it in our own behavior that we are constantly pushing every boundary until we've heard it enough times to realize that like this is a pretty significant part of me as a person is pushing every boundary.
Right.
You know, you don't notice your heartbeat. It's the biggest thing is you notice the least.
And ESTP, they supervise INTP. So
yes.
They've got a pretty big advantage over us cognitively.
Your the gender and age dynamic you guys have is gonna work against her, though.
I suppose so. And it does.
Like that's gonna balance the type dynamic a bit.
So I win all of our little altercations, and I like to think that they're on a TI basis.
They are,
and both for our own goods. Like I'm looking out for both of us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure she knows that you think that.
So, anyhow.
Yeah. ESTP high schoolers are fun, and ESTP chicks are fun. But God, I wouldn't want to raise an ESTP chick through high school. Although I might be. But my daughter's way better than... She's got a lot more tact with people than I ever did.
Have you typed her?
No, I haven't. I mean, I don't really believe in it, in typing kids, but also it's just kind of hard to type people that are that close to you.
Right.
I think that she's a beta quadra extrovert. She's probably an ESTP, but a different Enneagram. She doesn't like I enjoy conflict, and I don't mind upsetting people or getting in trouble at all. Really, she doesn't like getting in trouble, and she handles situations much more through. She can play a person like a fiddle if she decides to, but she doesn't like conflict. She might, yeah. EIE is a possibility. It's not off the table, but I think it's less likely than SLE. But yeah, she's 11, so it's really hard to see how somebody's going to shake out by the time through those years.
Right. I mean, like you. Isn't host Eric's daughter, doesn't he say she's an ESTP?
He says.
He
says. I think she's an ESFP, but she's not a complete moron, and he can't make those two things consolidate into a single reality in his mind. But I think she's an ESFP. She's an ESFP. She's not an ESTP. He'll flip the fuck out if he doesn't handle that challenge well. We've gotten into plenty of arguments about it. He knows how I feel about her, but she's an ESFP. He just, back in the day, he used to hate ENTPs, and then ESTPs, right? He hated ESTPs. And that's when I thought I was an ENTP. And then, so he's already had to come to terms with the fact that most least favorite type is also like one of his best friends, and having his daughter be his other least favorite type is just going to be too fucking much.
Right. Well, hopefully he's moved past that. I think he's gained some perspective from typing all the people that he has through his service.
You know what? And I've seen him that he's doing a lot of those. I'm glad that he's doing a lot more of the typing shit, and I don't really watch them typically. Me
neither.
To
be truthful.
Yeah. I just don't. I'm a vocal disagreeer. Like,
right.
And I recognize that I probably would not be a cool move of me to come into all his fucking streams telling him how he's wrong if I disagree with him. But that's assuming I disagree with him.
Yeah. I mean, as an INTP, I don't really give a shit. I mean, I don't really.
Yeah. That's not a bad. Yeah. That quality makes you amicable to anybody. Like I don't think I've never heard anybody be like, who's really annoying is INTPs. Can't stand those fuckers. Says nobody.
Yeah. That might have been a critique that would have been able to damage me earlier in my life, but like the older I get, the less I give a shit.
Well, force law FE
Because
is a
it's
weird
just-
thing.
Yeah.
Force slot is a weird thing.
It's like the more I put myself out there, I don't care about any one person's perspective on how I come off. If that makes any sense.
Right. I don't know if I all the way believe that. Force slot always seems like, I don't know. Force slot FE like gets surprised by poor social reactions, right? Like I think that force slot FE handles poor feedback just fine unless it surprises them, and it surprises them most of the time.
Right. I mean, I don't know what would be surprising at this point. Like, what can you call me? You call me a dork? I say
it would be the source.
A lispy voice.
It would be the source. It'd be who you pissed off and how bother that person in this way. It wouldn't be like a bad name called not name like that shit. Yeah.
Bothered a person with what? Like with what I said?
If you accidentally offended or accidentally upsetting someone.
I don't think I say much that's offensive.
If your sister had reacted for real negatively about you taking the bottle back, she could have said something in a way that I think would have been impactful.
Oh,
and I think the biggest thing though would be that it was
no, she could have cut deep, but how much of that is because of her closeness to me? Like if it's a stranger, it's
so you're saying
whatever.
the word or the accusation doesn't matter. Maybe I was hearing what you said wrong. Yeah, I don't think the words would. I don't know. If somebody's insulting me, I know that right or wrong, the motivation is to hurt me. And so since I know the motivation, it just negates any insult. Like somebody could say the most blatantly truthful insult to me, and in the context, it would do nothing. It'd be like, you're mad. Of course you're talking shit. Go fuck yourself.
Right. Well, it's a little bit different for INTPs. Like if it's truthful, we won't necessarily take it to heart, but we'll take it into account.
How do you know if it's truthful? Because
depends. It depends. It always depends.
Self-assessment is notoriously fucked off. So I have a hard time ever trusting my self-assessment or trusting anybody else's self-assessment.
Well, I guess INTPs are notorious for only sticking to their own evaluation of what is truth and what is correctness.
Yeah.
Fortunate for everybody else, it's a pretty objective mechanism.
It is relatively, but I don't know that I think the input variables for anybody is not going to be measured accurately. I don't think INTPs are any exception to that.
Well, that's when you get into the epistemology and all of philosophy. Fucking.
Oh yeah, I meant to ask, what are you doing? Do you have an end to the philosophy, or you just have the end of a degree and you enjoy philosophy?
No, really, I do. I would like to parlay that into law. Reaction. I'd like to get the ISTP reaction.
If I could stomach any more school, I would go to law school. And actually, my lawyer, my defense, and my divorce lawyer, he handled all my shit. Had told me for years to go to law school. When I was a banker, he told me that. When I was a defendant, he told me that. I like law. I don't like people in. I don't like law enforcement. I don't like judges. I don't like prosecutors. I like very few people in the industry, but I would. And philosophy would actually be a good thing there in my mind.
That's how I see it. It's all about going through the arguments and kind of.
Well, somebody needs to bring law back in line with justice. I think philosophy is needed for that. Because the legal system right now is the opposite of justice. It's exploitative and abusive.
Well, for some reason, those people are winning. So, like you said, we've got to retool who the law is supposed to be serving.
Well, first you have to have people who even understand that there's a problem. Because there are a lot of people working in the prison racket who actually think they're doing the right thing. Cops all the time. Cops are trained. Cops break so many laws that they don't even have a clue they're breaking because they're trained wrong. And then they break the ones they know they're breaking because they don't give a fuck and they're mercenaries. Mm-hmm. But none of that shit can be resolved unless people understand philosophically, like, what's a crime, and you just got to bring a whole different perspective to that.
Right.
The important thing isn't to, like, for law, it's not about flexes of power, right? The important thing isn't that a suspect stopped running when you said stop running, so you shoot him. The important thing is that you're you get what I'm saying.
I do. I hope to return justice to who it's supposed to serve.
I agree with Winston's mom's quotes or I like it. I disagree with that. The legal system is a corporation. Or it's an industry. It's its own industry. It's not owned by corporations. It's in the public domain. Corporations don't give a fuck. I mean, they benefit from every McDonald's uniform that's stitched together by 15 cent an hour inmate slave labor. Sure, they benefit from it, but it's not owned by the corporations. It is its own industry.
So what do you think about Derek Chauvin's sentencing?
I think that from the very beginning, Derek Chauvin was a shit show and he was going to be martyred. I think that he did not get a fair trial, but he never stood a chance of getting one. I think the big disappointment is that because he was not guilty of murder, of first or second degree. Maybe
it was primarily the fentanyl overdose. And
well, I mean, it was
the reactions.
It was the
taking place, and
right. But regardless, the legal definitions of like, you have to intend to kill somebody. So there's no possible like to even charge him with first degree murder, given the context, is like an egregious overreach and violation of the I mean, it's not. There's no way to say Derek Chauvin woke up and thought about murdering George Floyd and then went and murdered George Floyd. It's just not possible. So to even have those charges be leveled was ridiculous. I don't remember the exact definition of second degree, but he wasn't negligent homicide, I think. Maybe. Regardless, I think that he got an unfair trial, which I'm not happy with. I think that he probably doesn't deserve any better because I've dealt with enough cops to know how much of them are. And he's put plenty of people in the same situation. So I don't feel bad for the dude, but I do am not happy with the way that our system does not function. And even less happy with the way our citizens seem to be either happy about or indifferent to the fact that the legal system is not functioning well.
Right.
It's
a travesty, and they're okay with it.
Right. And nobody addressed the real fucking problem. The real problem is not any of the real problem is drug laws. The minute that the war on drugs started, it was the first time that you systematized a crime that does not have a victim. And also, it's the first time that I guess there's prohibition, but what prohibition laws like that do is who owns your body? And that's the fundamental question. If somebody can tell you what you can and can't smoke or drink, who actually owns your body? Because it sounds like they own your body, which is slavery. So I mean, that's kind of a below the surface thing, but I think that all this stuff goes on in people's heads subconsciously, and subconsciously, everybody recognizes that laws like this have a degrading value on people's freedom or autonomy or right at all.
Well, now what's really funny is that local governments are going after sugar.
Are you talking about like the big
soda tax?
Oh yeah, I mean they've always looked for things like that. I guess that I don't see it so much as a big problem as just another exploitative loophole to. It's the sin tax thing.
Mm-hmm.
The only way you can justify extorting people is to they were doing shit bad first. He punched me first. He was causing burden on the healthcare system first. We got a problem, reaction, solution. So it's bullshit. They've been doing that for a while though.
Yeah. But you got to stop it on the minor scale. You got to oppose it.
I don't think
that's what the war on drugs is too. It's like
but think about the philosophy underlying things. A tax on a pop is less invasive onto somebody's sovereignty than is saying, if you ingest this, you cannot ingest this, or else we will take away your freedom, possibly your life. That's way different from a philosophical approach to things than saying you can consume this, but the person who sold it to you has to pay more tax on it. It still gives you the right to do it, and the consequence is, I mean, it's your choice to make. You can decide whether or not to pay the tax. With prohibition laws, they're literally saying you are not allowed to do this at all, or else we will take your life away. So there's a huge philosophical difference. I think that the philosophy of things like this has a subconscious effect that's profound on people. And I think the war on drugs, for sure, in a lot of ways, really started the police state mentality. You ever filed a police report as a victim? Cops could not give a squirt of piss less. Not a care. When our house got broken,
and the subconscious effect being a deterrent.
I think the subconscious fact that Because even though no cop is walking around consciously going, hey, this person doesn't own their body, I own their body. That's not a conscious thought in people's heads, but on a subconscious and behavioral level, that's what the message is. And that gets ingrained in people's behavior and worldview.
I, as an officer of the law, have full impunity to enforce this.
But also the implication is that the person's well-being or safety is not at all the priority. The priority is adherence to the rule of Caesar. So the theory of law enforcement, stopping or preventing or solving crimes, is a crime has a victim, right? So you're trying to minimize the amount of victims in a society. But when you're putting people in prison for life because they made a decision to smoke something that didn't have any in it, there are no victims. It completely changes the dynamics.
Well, it's about what the society wants them to be, right? It's like given two binaries, would you rather them be a pot smoking person or not a pot smoking person?
That's the wrong binary.
Let's make pot smoking illegal, and that
is a false binary. But I mean, I think that perspective from the drug laws of the rule is more important than the person, ripples all through everything they do. So the person is always devalued. The victim, minimizing the harm people are caused, is devalued on everything that cops do. And it becomes cultural and structural, so that even the good cops, or the ones that want to be good cops, are doing bad cop shit because they're not aware that it's bad cop shit.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas 50 years ago, probably they would have known that this isn't a good way to approach a problem in society.
Mm-hmm.
I could never be a cop on moral grounds. And I think it's the only job that comes straight to the front of my brain that I couldn't do, because I think it's because of my moral convictions. Like, I could do a lot of sleazy or violent or aggressive shit in some, in circumstances, but I don't think that I could be that.
Like you'd sooner join the military than
yes,
enlist with the police force.
Yes, absolutely.
Huh. Well, it's 3 a.m. for me.
Yeah, I gotta go to bed too.
Giving me a lot to think about. Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Okay.
All right, be good.
Cool. Bye-bye.
All right. I'm going to bed. But if I'll give you a couple minutes. If there's any questions or comments in the chat that I didn't, because I haven't looked at it in a minute, that y'all want me to address or answer or hit on, throw it back up real quick. I'll give you a few minutes to see if there are any of those. Otherwise, I'm peacing out. So mostly yes, but I think yes until the very last part there. I'm not a sovereign rights person. I think that's probably bullshit, but they are usurping common law. And when they can be fought. Actually, I'm gonna find. There's a fantastic fucking dude I found. This dude's got a YouTube channel and he's got a Telegram group. I'm gonna drop a link to his shit. And he's fuck some sovereign. This dude does the sovereign citizen. It gets the things right about sovereign citizenship that sovereign citizens get right, but without the weird shit like capital letters and stuff. Like this dude's good as fuck. I can't remember his name though. Ooh, I gotta thin out some of my subscriptions. Oh, Genexiel. I'm gonna be on Genexiel's channel Monday. So when he does his show Monday at 10, I think. It'll be featuring your boy. So come there. God damn it. What the fuck is the name? He's got a really Italian sounding name. That's right. Alphonse Fagiolo. Alphonse Fagiolo. Be a bummer. Last name to have Fagiolo. Fagiolo. Here is his link, a link to his channel. Check out this dude's channel, subscribe to it, join his Telegram if you're so inclined. I'm so excited to have found this guy recently, but this is what you need to know as a defendant of anything. Okay, then I think we're on the same page. What they're doing is they're blurring the lines between common law and criminal law, and they're making violations of minor, like a speeding ticket. That's a local infraction. A cop is an employee of a city, which is an incorporated entity. So the incorporated city is having its employee, the cop, pull you over for violating a speeding ticket. That's an infraction. So violating a city infraction is getting treated as a crime, which it's not. But nobody knows that. So yeah, and the city can't have its employees violate your Fourth Amendment right. At state constitutions almost always mirror federal ones. So your Fourth Amendment right federally is probably also your Fourth Amendment right in your state. So the city that's allowed incorporation by the state is violating your rights under the state law all the fucking time by pulling people over for traffic tickets and this and that. And that's what the problem is. I don't know about admiral. You may be right about maritime law or whatever, but I guess I just always associate that with sovereign shit. I gotta go to bed. I can't go down this rabbit hole. Okay. This is some shit I'm interested in, but I'm certainly not doing it right now. My brain tiredness just kicked in. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share. What am I at? I'm 10 viewers away from, or I'm 10 subs away from monetization. So get 10 people to subscribe to me. Everybody call your mom or whoever you know will do things for you if you ask, and have that person subscribe to Flow State. And adios.